Hello everyone. This is your friend from Naruto Audio Fanfics, and we are back once again with a brand new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto Uzumaki became a dragon champion, wielding twin swords of light and darkness with Hinata Hyuga, Sakura Haruno, Ino Yamanaka, and Tenten Part 2. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit the like button, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Naruto fanfics like this. So without wasting any more time, let's start today's fanfic. Neji looked at the trio as they left the scene with Sakura dragging her teammates along by the hands. He, Tenten, and Rock Lee looked on, and it seemed that things were going to get interesting indeed this year. Neji knew about the Uchiha massacre, and he had to admit that Sasuke was certainly living up to the image of an Uchiha. So that's Sasuke of the Uchiha clan. The black-haired one's pretty bold. Neji, you going to challenge him? Tenten spoke as she looked at her teammate. Neji gave a slight snort and walked away, making Tenten smirk a bit as they headed off to get their team registered, but as they were making their way towards, she noted that their comrade Rock Lee was not following them, but seemed to be deep in thought. Lee, what are you waiting for? We're supposed to be checking in right now. Lee turned and replied to Tenten as Neji stopped and waited for them. I'll catch up with the both of you later, you don't need to wait for me right now. There's just something that I have to check out for myself. Tenten watched as Lee left them, and she wondered just what her teammate was up to this time. With that in mind, she turned to Neji and asked him, what do you suppose Lee's up to this time? Neji, I wouldn't know actually, but we should get going, he'll catch up with us soon enough. Neji replied as he kept on walking to where the real third floor was. As the three genin of Kakashi's Team 7 moved into a large hall, Lee was able to catch up with them and called out to the one he wanted to test a theory on, and knew that now was the time to see how the Uchiha's favored bloodline trait would stand to his brand of fighting, not to mention he wanted to try and get to know Sakura better. Hey, you with the attitude, hold on. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke looked back to the higher floor to spot Rock Lee looking at them. Naruto recognized him quickly, while Sakura was not exactly pleased with Rock Lee's arrival, recalling his actions towards her. While being flirty did kind of creep her out a bit, and Sasuke gave an indifferent look to the genin who called them, but he was indeed curious as he recalled how Lee had stopped his kick with only one hand. What do you want? I want to challenge you to the fight, right here, and right now. Sasuke's eyes narrowed a bit at that, and he replied, you want to fight me here and now? Yes. With that, Lee leapt over the edge and landed safely on the floor from where he had been. As he got his footing, the green suit-wearing genin then got to his feet and pointed his finger at himself and gave his name. My name is Rock Lee of Team 10. He then pointed his finger right at Sasuke and spoke. You yourself said that it is considered a common courtesy for a challenger to give his name first, am I correct, Sasuke Uchiha? Sasuke was a bit surprised. Here was a guy he knew next to nothing about, but this one named Rock Lee knew him already. So you know me already? Lee then got into a fighting stance that seemed to be quite unique, that Naruto looked at carefully, and so did Holy Talon. The Holy Dragon Sword had known many hand-to-hand combat specialists in its existence back in the world of its birth, and knew a fighter's stance when it sensed it. This one genin seems serious in his intentions for a fight with Sasuke Master Naruto. Yeah, looks like it. This guy's certainly got the spirit, wonder if he has the moves. Guess we're going to find out now, Master Naruto. I challenge you, Sasuke Uchiha. Everyone I know speaks highly of the Uchiha clan and how great they are with the Sharingan. Well, I for one wish to test those myths personally, and since you are who you are, then you would be a good test for me. Naruto didn't know why, but he suddenly began to feel like he could respect Rock Lee. Something about this guy's words and the message he conveyed touched him. Long before he acquired Holy Talon, he had struggled to make a name for himself. And he did it through pranks and many other ways, but it was hard as so many people disliked him, with the exception of Iruka Sensei, who was like a brother figure to him, and the third Hokage, who was the closest thing to a grandfather to him. And of course he now had Sakura, Kakashi, and even though he wouldn't admit it, Sasuke. Sakura was naturally his crush, despite him knowing that she was head over heels in love with Sasuke. However, she seemed nicer now, and he decided to pay her back too by being nice to her in return. Kakashi was someone he liked playing jokes on, but he did respect the Jonin, and he did give out serious advice, not to mention that ever since he acquired Holy Talon, Kakashi had been supportive of his time. Sasuke, well, He was a bit complicated. He hated the Uchiha's arrogance and stuck-up nature, not to mention the way he acts around people, always saying, "I'm better than any of you." That nature of Sasuke really grated on his nerves. However, Naruto was not always disliking Sasuke. He had to admit that Sasuke had the skills to back it up, not to mention the bloodline, and he had to admit that Sasuke had lost his entire family to his own brother, and he could only imagine the horror that Sasuke had been through that night to know that one of his own kin did the massacre. Still, that was no excuse to be the way he is now. However, Sasuke was and still is the reason he pushed himself to excel, and for that, he had to actually thank the Uchiha survivor for being his teammate and rival. And also, Lee then directed his attention to Sakura, who gave a very uneasy look when she found out that she was now the center of Lee's attention. This also got Naruto's attention as he had been busy with a discussion with Holy Talon to see what had transpired between Rock Lee and Sakura. He couldn't help but feel the urge to laugh as he suddenly saw the guy blush at Sakura's direction. "Sakura, I love you." Quadruple A ah. No. Naruto was looking at that and tried not to laugh so as to avoid getting Sakura's ire and anger. Despite his dislike for Lee's antics, for some reason, he could tell that Lee was a good guy, and was being nice, though he had an odd way of doing it. "You have the weirdest fashion sense I have ever seen. That's the ugliest haircut I've ever seen in my life. And your eyebrows are so bushy, you're totally weird." Instead of being insulted by Sakura's comments like before, Lee was unfazed, and the next words that came out of his mouth nearly made Naruto burst out laughing. He had no idea why he was finding humor in this situation at first, until he realized that Sakura now had a fanboy of her own and was now probably getting a dose of what Sasuke must go through every time. It was a bit bad to laugh about his teammates' obvious discomfort with the whole situation, but he couldn't help himself at that as he managed to contain his laughter. "You are an angel sent from heaven." And then Lee sent a flying heart to Sakura, who set about trying to avoid it as it hit the pillars behind her with a very weird sound. "Good move there, Sakura. I should have expected that from the most attractive kunoichi here, but I am not giving up just yet. Let's see you dodge these." Sakura was crying out in panic as she saw Lee unleash hordes of hearts right at her direction. She quickly began to dodge and move away as each heart came at her in different areas, and as she did so, they also made very weird noises. The last one made Sakura bend backwards until she hit her head. That was too close. As soon as she was back on her feet, Sakura glared at Lee and made her displeasure known to him. "Hey you. Keep those weird Valentine hearts of yours to yourself right now. You had me dodging for my life there. You don't have to be so negative about that, Sakura. I was being nice." Naruto shook his head at this and tried desperately not to laugh. He had to admit, this Lee was something else entirely. He knew that most people labeled him weird apart from the usual band of insults, but Lee beat everything he's ever done, and he could almost swear that Holy Talon was laughing as well, and since the sword chose him, only he could hear the living weapon's laughter. I have to give him credit, Master Naruto. He's not shy about saying what he likes. Yeah, I totally agree. Now then, I wonder if old Sasuke is going to go through with this. This could be good. You don't want to fight Lee yourself? Not really. I don't know his style of combat. What else can you sense about Lee? Apart from the obvious. Well, it seems that he has no serious chakra control to begin with, or has very low reserves of chakra, but his physical condition is at a very high level, just the kind you would expect from a fighter who uses hand-to-hand combat. Wait, Lee has no control chakra. That would mean that he can't use genjutsu or ninjutsu, so that would leave taijutsu then. This is going to be good. I can't wait to see just how good this guy really is. Besides, he is challenging Sasuke, so why should I interfere? It is a formal challenge after all. Point taken. You know about the Uchiha clan, yet you still want to challenge me. You must be even more psycho than you look, if that's even possible. You want to know more about my clan? Then I'll be happy to teach you, the hard way. Sasuke said with a dark look on his face as Lee merely extended his right hand and replied with a confident look. Bring it on. Excellent. I finally get to fight the #1 rookie of this year. I will make him draw out his techniques and see just how good he really is. I will make you proud of me, Guy-sensei. Hold it, you two. The group turned to Naruto, who looked at the two of them with a serious expression, totally unlike the normally goofy-looking and jovial blonde ninja as before. While I'm actually looking forward to this kind of a fight, you all realize that we do have limited time before the exams start, so try not to make this an epic battle, just a good one from start to finish so we can get the exams underway. Then he grinned once more. But just because it's going to be a quick bout, try not to make it boring. And Sasuke, you had better be careful. This guy might not look like it, but he's a lot more skilled than he looks. You might be in for one hell of a ride. Quiet, Naruto. I can handle this weirdo. Naruto shrugged. All right then. Go ahead and knock yourself out. But don't say I didn't warn you. Lee here might not look like it, but he's got some serious skills as far as I can see. Lee nodded in agreement with Naruto and smiled a bit at the blonde ninja with the sword on his back. He had thought that Naruto was not into being social since he seemed so silent, but it seems that the blonde was actually observing him. He knows more than he lets on. I'll need to talk to him later and see just who he is. Your blonde comrade is correct, Sasuke. Out of all the top genin that graduated from the academy last year, I am one of the best in my chosen way of combat. Fight me and I shall prove my point. Sasuke thought about it and he had to admit that he did agree with Naruto's words to an extent as he recalled how Lee was able to stop his kick with just one hand. He smiled a bit and replied to Lee's words, and he was going to see if this weirdly dressed up genin was all he said himself to be, or all talk and no guts. This'll be fun then. All right, I accept your challenge and I'm going to make you regret ever issuing it to me of all people. Sakura then directed her attention to the clock and gasped as she saw the time that they had on their hands, and that was not enough. Sasuke-kun, we have no time for this between you two. We have to register before 3 o'clock or we'll never be allowed into the Chunin exams. Relax, Sakura. This'll all be over in 5 seconds. With that, Sasuke rushed at Lee, intent on finishing this fight with one blow and show why he was the #1 rookie of the year and just what he was made of. Lee, however, kept his cool and focused on the fight in front of him. Good. He made the first move. Forgive me, Guy-sensei. I know that you forbade me using that jutsu, but it seems I will need to use it in this fight with Sasuke. Sasuke launched his attack, but to his shock, Lee faded from the area his punch was and he stumbled and recovered, but as he turned, he spotted Lee in the air as he shouted his attack. Leaf Hurricane. Sasuke dodged the attack, but as Lee landed, he was already on the offensive as he landed on his hands and left knee with right leg upward and then lashed out with his right with a strike to the head. Sasuke went on the defensive as he realized that he was at a disadvantage as he was open and had to block Lee's attacks. I'm not moving fast enough. I have to block. Lee, however, knew that in advance and place a hand sign. This caught Sasuke off guard as he tried to determine if, like Haku, Lee could make hand seals with only one hand. However, as Holy Talon had sensed, Lee was not a user of genjutsu or ninjutsu and was using the hand sign as a decoy, and Sasuke paid for it as he let his guard down, allowing Lee to hit him hard and send him flying. Sasuke. Sakura shouted as she saw Sasuke being hit by Lee and hitting the ground and skidding until he stopped, while Naruto looked on with some difficulty as he wanted to fight, but he kept his peace as he observed the fight with his hands in his pockets. Lee's got the moves all right. He used that hand sign to make Sasuke lose focus. Sasuke felt the pain of the blow and was stunned. I had my guard up, but he went through it. What's going on? Sakura was also stunned by the sight of Sasuke being hit like that and sent flying. Sasuke-kun had his guard up, but Lee went right through it. Maybe Naruto-kun's right, maybe Lee's more than mere looks. Sasuke got himself to his hands and got up slowly as he tried to think how Lee got past his defenses. He's using some sort of technique to get me. What is it? Is it a genjutsu or a ninjutsu? Lee kept his calm as he held his usual position on the floor, left hand behind him and right hand forward as he waited for Sasuke to make the next move. As I thought, he's coming back for another go at me. Well then, if he's using a genjutsu or a ninjutsu, then I guess it's time I get to use my ace in the hole. Besides, he's exactly at the spot where I want him to be. Sasuke got up and was now ready to give another go at fighting Lee. But this time, he was going to go up a notch and give Lee a taste of what made his clan famous in the village of Konoha. I've been waiting a while to put this to good use. Sakura looked on and was surprised as she realized what was happening. Could it be? She got her answer as Sasuke revealed his eyes, and they were no longer in the usual shade of dark black, but were red, Just like Kakashi's left eye, and Sakura knew quickly what that meant. The Sharingan. When did Sasuke-kun learn how to use it? Lee noted that as well and looked on patiently. So, he now reveals the Sharingan. This will be an interesting match. Be it Genjutsu or Ninjutsu, with these eyes, I will see right through it. Sasuke locked his eyes right at Lee and then charged as Sakura was in awe as she thought that Sasuke had lived up to his blood as an Uchiha, and no one could predict what he'll do next. With the Sharingan, he would be able to read this guy's jutsus and get him good. There was no way Lee could beat Sasuke now. Naruto, however, had his doubts as he kept on watching, and sure enough he was proven correct as Lee once more kicked Sasuke aside like he was nothing more than a rookie fighter taking on a more seasoned and highly skilled opponent. Naturally, the Sharingan user was stunned by this turn of events in a very serious way. He still got past my guard, but how? What sort of jutsu is this guy using that I can't seem to see? Sakura was in shock at the sight as she expected Sasuke to win easily with the Sharingan in hand, but Lee proved her otherwise. The genin then spoke to Sasuke as he watched Sasuke fall from his kick. If you believe that my techniques have anything to do with either Genjutsu or Ninjutsu, then you are sadly mistaken, Sasuke Uchiha. And for the first time in this battle, Lee was the one on the offensive as he charged right at Sasuke as soon as Sasuke landed and got to his feet. Naruto watched the whole thing and shook his head as the real fight had just begun. As Lee attacked with flurries of kicks and punches at Sasuke, the Uchiha managed to evade a few of the attacks, but the rest hit him hard. As Lee blocked his attacks and fought back as well, he then slammed an elbow strike right into Sasuke's stomach and forced him back in pain and surprise. As Sasuke held his stomach, Lee then spoke to him. Do you understand now my words before and why your blonde companion was correct in saying that I am not an easy foe? My fighting style makes no use of Genjutsu or Ninjutsu, but Taijutsu, that means there are no tricks or illusions, Sasuke. Lee vanished once more to Sasuke's shock and was now right behind him. It's just simple and straightforward martial arts, nothing more. Sasuke gritted his teeth and lashed out at Lee, but the genin avoided his strike and once more was in his neutral position. I know your technique, and I say that you should forget it, because it will not work, not on me. I know about the Sharingan. It gives you the ability to see past a foe's jutsu so you can see their hand signs and their movements and decipher them instantly, allowing you read them and predict their movements and intentions before they know it themselves, and I know that with them you can read your opponent's chakra to further your abilities. However, Taijutsu is not the same as Genjutsu or Ninjutsu. What's your point? The point is simple, Sasuke. I don't hide or disguise my moves. I don't have to in any case, and even if you can see them, you can never block them or stop them. You are too slow. While your eyes may allow you to be one step ahead of me, your body does not have the way to keep up at all, and that is very much true. So how then will you be able to stop me? And you know what the answer is to that. You cannot stop them. Because in the end, your Sharingan is worthless in a fight with me. That hit a nerve as Sasuke growled in anger, and Sakura was getting worried. Naruto, however, was very impressed, and so was Holy Talon. As far as the blonde ninja could see, Lee was the only one person who could face the Sharingan and defeat its advantages in a fight. This guy was definitely living up to his claims to be one of the top genin in Konoha. Lee is correct. As long as Sasuke does not have the physical speed to match Lee's own speed in combat, there's no way he could beat him in a straight-on fight. You're right. He's certainly someone to be wary of. Shame Mr. Attitude's finding that fact out too little too late. You know something, Sasuke? This is what I believe. There are two kinds of ninja in this world, those such as yourself who are born with talent and don't have to work hard on it. Sasuke had enough and attacked, but he had lost his composure and was no longer focused and calm, but Lee was different as he held his ground. And those like myself, the ones who train ourselves with all that we are every second of our lives. Lee evaded several more attacks from Sasuke and then he commented that Sasuke's Sharingan was the worst match with his brand of extreme taijutsu and he was about to show the reason for his statement and he launched out an attack that Sasuke once more failed to block as he was sent into the air once more, but this time Lee was not waiting for Sasuke to hit the ground as he followed him. Naruto's eyes narrowed at this and knew that things were going to be serious from here on in. Lee wasn't playing anymore, he was serious. Sasuke looked to see Lee behind him in midair and knew what this move was. Dancing Leaf Shadow. Good eye, but here is where I prove my point to you. Lee moved his arms and Naruto spotted the bandage tape on Lee's arm begin to loosen and saw that Lee was unleashing a jutsu that must be part of taijutsu style moves. And that point is that hard work beats natural talent. Sasuke knew that this move was a serious one, but he had no idea what to do right now at this point in time as he realized with reluctance that Naruto was right for him to be wary of Lee, and that Lee was right that even with the Sharingan active, he was not able to equalize Lee's speed. What the heck is his next move? You're finished. Sakura looked on in shock and fear as the two genin were in the air, with Lee on the bottom and Sasuke on the top. She had no idea just what sort of move was Lee going to pull out, but she could tell that it was a very serious move indeed. But suddenly Naruto felt the presence of another and he heard something in the air, and sure enough, so did Lee as the end of the tape he had released was suddenly hit by a windmill toy with a metal head on the end, pinning it to the wall. Sakura turned as Naruto did to see just where did that move come from, and Lee also knew that this was not a good sign. This is bad. There was a turtle on the area, a rather big one at that, with red and yellow colors and amazingly enough had a Konoha forehead protector around its neck and an orange band on its right foreleg, and to really surprise everyone, the turtle spoke. All right. That's enough of this. Lee got the message and stopped his attack and left Sasuke wondering what else was going to happen. Sakura shouted out and rushed to help Sasuke as she caught him in her arms. Lee on the other hand was now kneeling before the large speaking turtle in red and yellow, much to Naruto's surprise. Well, that was interesting, but as much as this right now, who or what is this turtle? Sasuke got his breath back and glared at Lee as Sakura checked him out for any further injuries. The pink-haired Kunoichi was really worried as she looked Sasuke over once more to see how he was doing and she asked him. Are you all right, Sasuke-kun? Sasuke didn't reply as his anger was very high and that really worried Sakura as she had never seen Sasuke like this before. He's really shook up. He didn't even take the fall right. Lee was very much in a very different mood as he spoke to the turtle. You were watching us the whole time. Of course I was. That last technique you tried to use is forbidden, Lee, and you very well know that. Well, this is new. This Lee's talking to a turtle, and it's talking right back to him. What kind of turtle is that? I am sorry, I didn't mean to resort to that. Now he's actually apologizing to the turtle. I know this is weird, even for him, but surely that turtle can't be his sensei. Lee suddenly gave a cry of fear as he stood up and began to ramble out an apology to the turtle that apparently had given him a very stern look, making Naruto wonder if there were still things about his world that he knew next to nothing about, and that turtle just might be Lee's sensei. Even Sasuke and Sakura were surprised as Naruto walked over to them and spoke. Hey guys. What is it, Naruto-kun? No offense meant, Sakura. But that weird talking creature that Lee's talking to is a turtle, right? Of course it is. Well, this is the first time I've seen a talking one. Though I carry a living sword on my back and speak to dragons who can speak back, so that's not too much for me to take, but the turtle's certainly a new one. You're a disgrace. The turtle shouted, making Lee cringe in reaction to the admonishment being handed down to him as he stood in attention and focused it on the creature talking before him. You honestly think you could get away with a bunch of lame excuses such as those you just told me? A shinobi never reveals his techniques to his foes unless it's absolutely necessary. That is such a basic rule, you should know it by heart now. Forgive me, sir, Lee said dejectedly. Sasuke was livid with rage as he wiped some of the blood and dirt off with his forearm bands as he gazed at Lee. How could I have lost to that freak? Are you prepared to take the punishment for your actions, Lee? Yes, sir. Good. Please come out, Guy-sensei. A large puff of smoke suddenly appeared on top of the turtle's shell and there was a new arrival, but he seemed to be an older version of Lee. The same haircut, the same suit, the same leggings, the same forehead belt. The only difference was, apart from age, was the fact that this new arrival had a vest on him and had even bushier eyebrows than Lee, and he was currently in the most outlandish pose any guy would be in. Hey, what's shaking? How are you doing, everybody? Life treating you good? The reaction of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura was of absolute shock and surprise, but only Naruto, being as outspoken as ever when he felt like it, spoke first on what he was looking at. That guy's got the biggest eyebrows I've ever seen. They're almost alive. Guy didn't notice nor care about that and gave his greeting with his usual grin and shining teeth. Hi, Lee. Sakura was the next to speak. This is way too weird. Now I can see where Lee's got it. The same soup bowl haircut but even bushier eyebrows. Lee didn't take a liking to that as he had a vein on his head throbbing and turned around with a look of fury on his face and his still covered hand in a fist. Hey, don't you dare insult Guy Sensei. He's one of the greatest men of the entire world. Don't take that the wrong way, Lee. I'm still trying to get used to the fact I just saw him come out of a turtle. He did not come out. It's all right, Lee. Give it a rest. Lee sighed and turned to face his apparent sensei. Yes, sir. Now then, time for your punishment, you fool. And right in front of Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto, and Holy Talon, Guy hit Lee right in the face and sent him flying, much to the shock of them all. Author's notes. I won't describe the whole nice guy scene between Lee and Guy because quite frankly, if I did, I won't stop laughing, but it was fun either way. How could I have lost to someone that lame? Sasuke thought, while Sakura tried not to barf out, while Naruto tried not to laugh out loud at the whole thing, while Holy Talon looked on, and if it had a human form, there would have been a sweat drop there. I've seen plenty of strange sights since my creation, but this one certainly is a new one I doubt I'll be forgetting anytime soon. Naruto then spoke. I know this sounds weird, but it is kind of endearing in a way when they're doing that sort of thing. Sakura didn't like that and replied, Naruto-kun, you can't be serious. Those two are totally beyond weird. As Lee and Guy began to leave, Naruto called them out. Hey, hold on a minute, you can't just leave whenever you like. Sakura also recovered and recalled that the Chunin exams were going to start very soon. And they have wasted a lot of time. That's correct. What about the Chunin exams? You can't just go out. There's no time for fooling about here. Guy turned and realized Sakura's point. Actually, you are right, Lee. It seems that you've not only disobeyed the rule of no fighting, but you've also disrupted the Chunin exams as well. And considering that, I believe that merits a slightly harsher punishment for you. Am I correct? Lee saluted Guy and naturally replied, yes, sir. Guy once more went into a pose and gave his new punishment for his student. How about we make it about 500 laps? How does that sound? Outstanding, sir. Naruto was about to laugh once more, while Holy Talon was also laughing, while Sasuke and Sakura couldn't believe the two before them, and Sakura summed up their thoughts on Guy and Lee in one phrase. They're insane. They might be, but they definitely know how to crack me up. I couldn't agree more, Master Naruto. Game then directed his attention to the three before them and quickly guessed who they were, namely since they were the only team to pass the hard test of a certain rival of his. So this is Kakashi's squad They do have some talent. I think I should go and test them a bit. Sakura saw that and she panicked as Guy was staring at them. Oh no. He's staring at us. So tell me, how is Kakashi doing lately? You know our Jonin-sensei? Sasuke asked as he looked at the two before them. Do I know Kakashi? Well, you three could say that your sensei and I are arch rivals for all eternity. No way. That's no lie. If Guy Sensei says something true then. That's all right, Lee. A ninja's action speaks far more than words or hours of dialogue. Naruto and Sasuke looked carefully, then noted something. Both of them were surprised that Guy was no longer standing next to Lee, but was now right behind them. My current record is 50 wins and 49 losses, which as you can see is 1 point higher than his. Sasuke and Sakura were stunned at that as they faced the Jonin, while Naruto was certainly impressed at this discovery, not to mention the speed and power Guy showed in a flash. Wow, he's even faster than Lee himself. That would make sense, Master Naruto. Guy must train Lee personally since they wear the same clothes and almost look the same, so it would make sense that Guy is stronger and faster than Lee himself. He does have the potential to match up with your sensei. The fact of the matter is, on a standpoint I am faster and stronger than Kakashi. Guy said with the usual shining glint on the tooth expression, which made Sasuke look at him in shock and ever-growing anger. His speed is unnatural, he's definitely faster than Kakashi, is he even human? Lee then added an even more difficult to swallow comment to the mix. Now do you see, Guy Sensei is the best there is. Guy then looked at Sasuke and spoke to the genin. I want to apologize for any trouble that Lee might have caused you and your team, and I want you to look at me and accept my apology, not to mention looking at my manly features. He claims he's better than Kakashi. Could all that talk be true? Damn it. I don't think he's making that up for his ego. Guy smiled and then took out a kunai and tossed it at the toy pinwheel that held Lee's bandage tape, loosening it when it struck the pinwheel, as he spoke to his favored student. Lee, I believe you should accompany these fine young ninja to the classroom where the exams are going to start, right now. I understand, Guy-sensei. Lee then moved to re-bandage his hand, and that was when Naruto noted the condition of his hands, and so did Holy Talon. He seems to have the scars to prove his training under Guy Master Naruto. I've seen hands like that among some of my wielders and former dragon champions in the past. Those are the marks of a person with dedication and conviction. Naruto agreed with that, as well as he could see that Lee indeed worked his butt off to be that skilled in taijutsu alone. Remember to give it your best. Lee, I will see you soon. Yes, sir. With that, both Guy and the turtle vanished and Lee had finished retaping his hands. The genin then spoke to Sasuke, who quickly turned and looked at him. Hey Sasuke, I have to confess that I was not totally honest with you. There is truth to what I had said before, that I wanted to test my skills, but you are not the one I truly wanted to test my skills against. I lied to you in the fight as well. I said before that I am one of the top genin in Konoha, but there is in truth another, and he is on my team. Naruto, however, already had a good idea on just who Lee was referring to, since he knew of only one guy on Lee's team. He must be referring to that guy who's a Hyuga then. I came here to finally defeat him. You were merely practice, but now you are a target. The next time you and I meet, it will be in a fight to the finish and I will crush you. You have been warned. With that, Lee leapt up and flipped to the balcony while Sasuke fumed at his loss at the hands of Rock Lee, while Sakura and Naruto looked on. Sasuke faced away and tightened his grip and his teeth at the memory and what Lee had told him. Sakura turned and was very worried about Sasuke. Sasuke-kun. Naruto then looked at this teammate and replied. I did warn you not to take that guy lightly, Sasuke. Now look what happened to you. I guess you still have a lot to master. Naruto-kun. Stop saying that stuff, you'll just make it worse. Shut up, Dobi. The next time I face him, I'll be driving him into the ground and on his knees. Really? Who just got his rear end handed back to him? Naruto-kun. Please stop it right now. Sasuke then gave Naruto a death glare, but Naruto was far from intimidated and replied. Listen, that guy knows a weakness in your Sharingan, and he knows how to use it. Until you find a way to counter that same trick he mastered, there's no chance of beating him easily. Besides, you didn't notice the state of his hands when he took off the tape. Sasuke then recalled that, like Naruto, he too noted the condition of Lee's hands before the genin put back on the tape, and he was silent for a moment, which allowed Naruto to speak further to him about what he observed. Those are the hands of a guy who no doubt trains his off until he can't walk the next day, and does it all over again when he can walk the next day. I'll bet Lee's been working so hard day in and day out to be that skilled in taijutsu. He trains a lot harder than you have, and that gives him an edge. Sasuke looked away and had to admit that Naruto did have a good point, but the blonde then replied. But look at it this way. It proves that we're having some serious competition in these exams. It won't be much of a challenge if we fight lower level foes all the way to the finals, right? Lee's just shown to us that there's some serious talent here to face, and if there's talent like him here in our own village, then who knows about the other villages too? It'll certainly give us all the more reason to push ourselves to the limit and then some. And if we win against them, then that tells us we're getting stronger, am I right? Sasuke looked at Naruto, and for a second he looked at Naruto and considered his words, and to Sakura's relief and pleasant surprise, Sasuke smiled. You're absolutely right, Naruto. It won't be a real test if we fought lower level opponents all the way to the end. This Chunin exam is definitely worth being in. Naruto grinned and Sakura smiled at that. Right. All right then. Let's go. We don't want to be late for the registration. With that, all three of them made their way to the room, unaware of the fact that there was someone watching them. And this stranger had his eyes on Team 7, namely on Sasuke, and Holy Talon. So, that's Holy Talon. And there's Sasuke. I can't believe the beauty of this, all the eggs in one basket, this will be fun. Later, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke arrived on the real third floor and were already on their way to the main room when they spotted their Jonin-sensei before them, leaning on the door. Kakashi smiled a bit to himself as he spotted his genin team and looked them over, not to mention he approved of Naruto's new look and also the presence of Sakura herself. he knew that things hinged on all of them to be as a team. Well, I'm happy that all three of you are here, namely you most of all Sakura, for your sake and that of both Naruto and Sasuke. Huh, what do you mean by that, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked as she was very much confused by what Kakashi had said to her just now. She had made this decision to stand by her teammates on her own. That also got the attention of both Sasuke and Naruto as they also wondered just what was going on here. Now you three can formally be allowed to participate in the Chunin exams. Why do you say that, Kakashi-sensei? Because in truth, Sakura, only genin teams of 3 can apply to take the Chunin exams can be allowed to participate in the Chunin exams. That's a formal rule that is very much enforced and no one genin is allowed to take the Chunin exams without a team with them. But sensei, you said that joining the Chunin exams was a personal, individual decision. That is correct, I did say that. Then was what you said was a lie, Kakashi-sensei? Not entirely, Sakura, more like a test. You see, it is a personal decision to take the Chunin exams, but that decision can affect the lives of your teammates, in the same fashion as one decision can determine the outcome of a mission and the lives of your teammates. I didn't tell you that, or Sasuke, or Naruto, because I didn't want them to pressure you into joining them. And at the very same time, I didn't want you to feel obligated to join because of whatever feelings you might have concerning either Sasuke or Naruto. I wanted you to decide for yourself if you wanted to take the Chunin exams of your own free will. I see, so you mean that if Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun came but I didn't join them, then they would. I would not have allowed them to enter this room and take the Chunin exams, if you had not arrived with them of your free will, then it would have been the end of the road for all three of you, but that is now a moot point. Kakashi then spoke with a proud voice and his genin team could sense that and they were also in high spirits. You're all here for the right reasons. Sakura. Sakura blushed a bit and smiled at the pride and respect being given to her by their Jonin mentor. Naruto. Naruto grinned widely in anticipation. And Sasuke. Sasuke smiled as well, ready to test himself in the fights to come. Kakashi then smiled at all three of them and made his pride known to them. I'm very proud of you all, I couldn't have asked for a better team under my command. Good luck and do well. With that, Kakashi stepped aside as Sasuke and Sakura were the first to reach for the doors and open them, while Naruto replied with a smile to his Jonin sensei. We won't disappoint you, sensei, believe it. As soon as the three of them opened the doors and went inside, Kakashi sighed and looked outside to the windows to view all of Konoha. Inside the room, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were treated to a sight none of them were prepared for, as they were looking at a veritable sea of ninja teams from different villages. Whoa. This is unexpected. I guess we're not the only ones here then. Naruto and Sakura commented while Sasuke merely looked on as they found themselves suddenly being looked at by so many ninja, who ranged from either late teens to adults and all of them were not giving off a friendly aura in the least as they all glared at the three of them. I had no idea there was so much competition here, if being scary looking was part of the tests, these guys have me beat clean to the floor. Sakura thought to herself as she gulped a bit at the glares she was getting really unnerved her. Naruto and Sasuke on the other hand were really psyched up for this. However, it was also then that 6 figures were now heading towards them. The 3 groups were also in threes and appeared to be around their own respective ages. One appeared to be a blonde teen kunoichi with bandage wrappings on certain parts of her body, and she even had the same forearm cloth bracers that Sasuke also had. She had her hair in a long tail with a shorter tail on the right side of her face and she had a lighter shade of blue in her eyes as well. She wore a skirt and blouse style ensemble which was in purple. And had an earring on the left ear. The other wore a vest style outer shirt with dark olive green lining, and he had a Konoha forehead protector headband on his left arm. He also had a bodysuit of fishnet style mesh clothing and wore long pants. Plus his hair was done in a upper facing tail, and he had an earring on both ears as well. The other one was fat beyond most words and amazingly enough, had his hands on a bag of chips and was munching away like there was no tomorrow. He too wore a long outer shirt in dark green color, and had a long scarf wrapped around his neck with the ends on either side of him and he had long bandage tape on his arms as Rock Lee did. His forehead protector was different as his head was covered except for 2 parts that were on either side and he had swirl-like tattoos on his face as well. The other 3 came in and in the lead was a boy with canine-like eyes and had 2 marks in his cheeks shaped like fangs of some sort. He wore something of a trench coat and had a hood with fur lining it and also the sleeves as well on the ends. He wore dark brown pants and amazingly enough, there was a wild puppy riding on the top of his head, and the guy didn't seem to complain in the slightest having the puppy on his head. The other one was a boy with a really messy pile of hair on his head and he seemed to wear a pair of really dark shades and had a coat with a high buttoned up collar that covered the lower half of his face, along with a pair of black trousers. The last one was young girl with dark blue-black hair which was short, with two long tails on the side of her head and her own Konoha forehead protector around her neck. She had a face that would be described as very cute and she had the same silver eyes as the one Hyuga that Naruto and his team had met before. She had a large jacket with flame symbols on the arms and her jacket had fur lining on the bottom on the jacket. The moment Naruto looked at the girl, she blushed bright red and looked away even though she walked with the other two towards them. Naruto knew all of them very well, after all they were his classmates. Who are they all, Master Naruto? From what I can sense, you seem quite familiar with them. They are my old classmates in my academy days. We didn't exactly see eye to eye on some issues, but as far as things go, they weren't too bad. Really? Since you knew them before I have, care for doing some introductions on them. All right. The first one is the one who's walking towards us with the lazy expression as Shikamaru Nara, laziest guy in the whole academy and complains a lot. Never does anything about it since all he says that it's either troublesome, or a waste of time. The guy with the bag of chips is Choji Akamaki, or rather the eating machine as I like to call him. I can't recall a single time I've ever seen not eating, and he eats anywhere. The girl in purple's Ino Yamanaka. She's a rival for Sasuke's affections like Sakura-chan. She's nice looking, but can be annoying at times, though not that much. And the other three. The silver-eyed girl's the one I know as a Hyuga. Her name's Hinata. She's an okay girl and thankfully isn't after Sasuke, but I can't understand why she acts all shy and embarrassed when I look at her. It kind of feels a bit weird, but all in all, she's nice and seems to care a great deal for her comrades and works hard in the academy, though I never got to really know her since she was assigned with another team, and those two guys with her are her teammates. The one with the dog on his head is Kiba Inuzuka, and the puppy is his pet Akamaru. He's a lot more annoying than Ino since he's always thinking he's cool and all. The other one with the shades is Shino Aburame. I have to admit that I know next to nothing about him. I see. Well, it looks like it's time for you to make the move, since all of them are looking at you. Hey Sasuke-kun. You've made it. And who's the guy with you? I thought you guys had Naruto with you. The new guy's different, and did you get a replacement teammate? Ino asked as she looked at her crush Sasuke but had her attention torn between Sasuke and the tall blonde ninja with the sword on his back and the wicked-looking outfit, along with the strange tattoo of some beast on his arm. The guy was tall and as she looked more closely, she saw the deep blue eyes with what appeared to be silver lining and the long golden hair with slight silver highlights. His face was smooth, masculine and even though he had those whisker marks on his face, they didn't detract his appearance, rather they made him more primal in a male sort of way and he gave a warm, calming, and strong aura, and his clothes seemed to hug his frame a bit and she could see the muscles that he had, and she could help but blush slightly as she continued to study him. He looked so powerful, but there seemed to be something familiar about him. That guy's hot. And as much as I don't want to say it, he's more attractive than Sasuke-kun, but why does he look familiar to me for some reason? I don't recall meeting such a hottie like him before. She wasn't the only one who was looking at Naruto as Hinata herself was blushing bright red as she studied the blonde ninja, but despite the new guy's handsome looks, she was not going to give up her deep crush on Naruto. But she couldn't help but note that the new stranger did seem familiar. Yeah, as I recall, that pipsqueak was assigned to you guys, and I don't recall hearing that you had a replacement. It's a shame too. I'm going to like seeing if Naruto has improved at all. Of course, he can't still beat me in a fight. I've been training for quite a while now and I can beat him easily. Naruto was shaking his head and decided to finally drop the bomb hard on his former classmates and fellow rookies as he stepped forward and grinned at both Shikamaru and Kiba. You guys haven't changed a bit, have you? You're still complaining as much as ever, Shikamaru. You're still spouting your mouth, Kiba. You're still stuffing your mouth, Choji. Lay off with the food once in a while. You're still looking pretty, Ino. Shino's as silent and mysterious as ever, and Hinata's still the same, I guess. Kiba looked at Naruto and gave a growl like a dog, and Akamaru was barking as ever, and while Naruto had no clue as to what the puppy was saying, he could tell that the puppy was pissed. You've got some guts, new guy. Who the heck are you? Naruto smiled once more and replied. Take a good long look, Kiba, and think it over. Who's the only guy in your academy days that likes the color orange, has whisker marks on his face, loves eating ramen, being late in classes and giving Iruka-sensei headaches, and I used a jutsu to turn into a woman to make him bleed and fall to the ground, and I promised to be Hokage someday. Now do you know who I am? The other rookies looked on in shock as it dawned into them. Kiba's eyes widened and Akamaru stopped barking. Shikamaru looked on with wide eyes. Ino looked on in shock. Choji stopped eating for a second. Even Shino was surprised, though no one was sure about that, and Hinata blushed bright red as she realized just what that meant as she looked at Naruto's new features. It was Kiba who broke the ice. No way. No damn way. Is that you, Naruto? Naruto laughed and nodded. Now you've gotten it, Kiba. I hope you're not all talk about your training, cause when you and I fight, I'm going to really put those words of yours to the test, so put your money where your mouth is. Hinata looked at Naruto and she felt her heartbeat even faster as she looked at Naruto's features and saw just how handsome he was right now. She recalled that he was nice looking in her eyes back then, but now he was devastatingly handsome. His hair was golden in the light and the silver highlights in his hair seemed to add even more detail to his golden hair. His face was now devoid of the baby fat and seemed to be very well defined, almost like a sculptor had made his face into perfection. She noted slight silver in his eyes, and instead of clashing with the sky blue of his eyes, they melded perfectly with one another. She looked and noted that he was taller now, and from the way the clothes he had, namely his muscle shirt, he was certainly more muscular than the last time she had seen him. The clothes made him look so handsome. The Hyuga girl then blushed deep red as she began to have very impure thoughts about her and Naruto being alone together. And she quickly felt her body heat up along with her face as Naruto turned and looked at her once more. She felt all the heat and blood in her body go to three places, one to her face, the other her heart, and the other to the spot between her legs. Oh my, please stop thinking those things, but Naruto-kun looks so delicious. Ah, did I just think that? I feel like I'm going to faint. He looks so strong. I wonder if those muscles are. No. I mustn't think those things. It's not proper. What would Naruto-kun say if he found out I'm thinking such things? Ino likewise was stunned as she recalled how Naruto looked like when she had last seen him, and compared it to Naruto as he was now, and she was still trying to get used to it. She had no idea that Naruto, who she considered to be a louse and a loudmouth, had somehow changed overnight into this godlike hunk of a teen, and as much as she tried to hide it, she once more began to look Naruto over. And when she was done, she also felt her heartbeat grow faster as she began to have very impure thoughts herself. Those thoughts involved, well, let's just say that some of those thoughts included positions that would have been considered as perverted. Wow, who knew he'd be this good looking? Wait a minute. Why am I saying such things? This is Naruto. No matter how hot and hunky he looks, he's still a loudmouth and an idiot. But I can't help but look at him. He looks so tasty, and those muscles. I wonder if they are as hard as they. Ah. What the heck am I saying? Sakura noted the look both Ino and Hinata were giving Naruto, and she was getting even more annoyed. She could understand how Hinata felt, since the Hyuga girl did have a king-sized crush on Naruto, which she no doubt was now amplified by Naruto's changes overnight. But Ino looking at Naruto in the same way she and her would look at Sasuke. This was certainly unexpected to say the least. Who would have thought her rival would now be looking at Naruto like a wolf looking at a meal? And for some reason, the facts there made her feel very uneasy as she saw them looking at Naruto, who seemed to be keeping his cool the whole time. Shikamaru then spoke. You can't be Naruto. Are you just some jonin who's using a henge? Naruto smiled at his classmate and replied. Why don't you guys try using the release jutsu and find out? The lazy genin did so, and so did Kiba, and when they used the jutsu, they had expected Naruto to be revealed, or the jonin that they both suspected was taking up this form, but to their shock, the situation didn't change in the least. Naruto was still there, with the same looks, and then Akamaru barked at his master and Kiba listened and sighed a bit. He's Naruto all right. Akamaru's gotten his scent. Now the big question in my mind is what happened to you? It's kind of a long, very long story, but I'm not telling anyone right now. Hey you guys. All 9 rookies turned and spotted another genin who appeared to be a few years older than they were. He had silver hair and glasses on him. He had long fingerless gloves that reached his elbows, had an outer vest of purple, a long sash on the waist, purple pants, and had a white undershirt on him. You guys really shouldn't be making a spectacle of yourselves. I mean no offense by that, since you are no doubt the 9 rookies, fresh out of the academy, right? Here's some advice. Just cool it for now. This isn't exactly a class field trip. Well, we didn't ask for an opinion. Just who are you then? Ino asked, as she was a bit angry at this newcomer butting into the conversation like it was normal for him to do so. The name's Kabuto Yakushi, but I guess you should look about yourselves. You've made quite the impression on the others here. The genin looked about and found themselves being looked at by all the other people in the room. Many of the older genin were very serious looking, and they were not in the best of moods as they looked at Naruto and the rest of his comrades, both in his team and the other teams as well. 3 other ninja also looked at them as well with very serious looks at them. You see those 3? They're from the Hidden Rain village and they are very touchy right now. Rub them the wrong way and you're asking for it. In fact, everyone here in the room, all of them are all tense. The Chunin exams is a serious deal to everyone here and they are not in the mood for games. The 9 genin then looked at Kabuto as he gave them a whimsical expression. However, Holy Talon was far from fooled. The sentient living sword sensed something different about this Kabuto and decided that while he was around, it was going to keep an eye on him. For now, the man was not a direct threat to its wielder or his comrades, so for now, the wary sword kept its peace. Well, I can't blame you guys. You are rookies after all, so how can you all know just how things work here in the Chunin exams? You all remind me of myself when I was a first-timer in the Chunin exams. Sakura then looked at Kabuto and asked him something. So your name is Kabuto, right? That's correct. So this isn't your first time taking the Chunin exams? No, to tell you the truth, this is my 7th time to take the Chunin exams. Shikamaru was somewhat surprised at that announcement, and so were the rest of the genin. Well, the Chunin exams are held at least twice a year, and that means it'll be my 4th year taking the Chunin exams. Wow, so you're a veteran then? You might say that. Yes. Cool. Then maybe you can help us with some inside information here. Naruto said with a smile. Shikamaru snorted a bit. Some veteran he is, he hasn't even passed the exams. Kabuto gave a sheepish expression and scratched the back of his head with his right hand. Well, they do say 7th time's the charm, right? So the rumors about the exams being hard are all true, huh? Man, this is going to be a drag. Naruto looked at Shikamaru and replied. Don't be so darn negative, Shikamaru. We haven't even tried it ourselves yet. Kabuto replied as he took out a large deck of cards and showed them to the 9 of them, and he spoke to the group with a calm and relaxed voice. Actually, I can tell you about things I've learned in the Chunin exams for the past 4 years and the times I have taken it, so I wasn't completely wasting my time while I was here, you know. These are my special information cards. Information cards. Yes, I made them personally. There are at least 200 of them, and while they may not look like much, they are quite helpful in many ways. Here, let me show you one of them. Kabuto placed the deck down and took one of the cards and placed it face down, and then placed one of his fingers on it and began to rotate it. What are you doing? I'm charging it up with my chakra. The cards are blank for a reason. Only the right application of chakra can make them reveal their contents. Plus only my chakra can do it, since the cards have a security chakra system in them. You don't want to go through all the trouble of gathering information and placing them in these cards to have them read by potential enemies. Now do you? The group watched as Kabuto completed the action and revealed the information in the shape of a map with special numbers and graph symbols. Wow, those cards are good. Is that a map? Ino asked as she looked at the card that was at first blank and with a poof of smoke was now filled with information. That's right. This is no ordinary map though. This map contains all the currently participating hidden villages and their genin squads who are currently here taking the Chunin exams, and as you can see, the number of genin they send here happens to be pretty big. Now the reason why the Chunin exams are hosted here is to foster brotherhood and equality among the ninja nations. Of course that's true, at least in a certain point of view. What do you mean by that? Naruto asked, a bit curious about what exactly Kabuto meant about the fostering of brotherhood to be true at a certain point only. Well, The other reason is the maintenance of the balance of power. You see, if there is no way to help maintain the number of ninja a particular country has, then there is a big chance that one country might wind up with more ninja than the other nations and it might be tempted to go to open war with the others. It's happened before. That's why the Chunin exams are needed to maintain the status quo. I'll admit that it's a bit harsh, but it's the only way at times to prevent over-aggression. There are at least 6 villages so far taking the exams. Of course, being the host for this year's exams, we have a large number of genin, including you 9 freshmen. There are those from the village of the Hidden Sand, our current allies. There are also those from the village of Grass, Waterfall, Rain, and Sound. Kabuto then put the card back into its blank state and placed it back in the deck and showed the rest of them. I've also taken the liberty of gathering information on all the contestants here in the exams, including you guys. Naturally, I can't be sure that all the information is entirely accurate, but the data here is all from reliable sources I happen to know of. Sasuke then stepped forward, intent on finding out some information of his own, and since Kabuto had the cards, who better to ask than him? Do you have the cards on 2 guys I want to know about? I might, but you'll need to give me some specifics, a name, appearance, anything, and I'll see if I can get you the information you need. I need to know about Rock Lee from Konoha, and Gaara of the Desert from Sand. Well, that wasn't very thrilling to say the least. You know their names already, so they should be easy to find. Kabuto made some quick moves and in a few moments, acquired at least 2 cards and showed them to Sasuke. And here they are. Who do you want to know of first though? Rock Lee. Kabuto repeated the gesture that he used to show the first card, and sure enough the card revealed the information on Rock Lee himself, along with a chart to show his abilities and the number of missions he had undertaken in his career. Kabuto then spoke the information that he had been able to gather on the one that had beaten Sasuke as the Uchiha clan member. Rock Lee is a genin from Konoha and is a year older than you. His squad members include Tenten and Neji Hyuga, and their Jonin squad leader is Maeda Guy. His skills in taijutsu are unlike most genin his age, second only to Guy, but his other skills, namely genjutsu and ninjutsu, are shaky at best. He gained quite a bit of attention in his graduation from the academy as being the only graduate of the academy through taijutsu alone, but he didn't participate in the Chunin exams that year, so while he's older than you by a year, it'll be his first time to take the exams like the rest of you. And Gaara of the Desert. Kabuto placed away Rock Lee's card after resealing it and then repeated the very same procedure on the next card that held Gaara's information. In a moment, the card was covered in white smoke and then Gaara's information came out, along with the pictures of his brother and sister, Kankuro and Tamari. Curiously enough, their Jonin squad leader's picture was not present. Gaara's actually more of a mystery. Not much is known about him, except that he is very moody, violent, and has a killer streak in him. And he's very dangerous to engage in a fight. But get this, he's been in a B rank mission, but never got a single wound in combat. The ones he took out on the other hand, well, I'll just say that what happened to them when Gaara dealt with them in the fight is best not described on a full stomach. Shikamaru gulped at that little announcement. The guy took a B rank mission, and didn't even suffer a scratch. Naruto would have reacted to the news, but he kept his focus on the matter as he already sensed a lot from Gaara when they first met, not to mention Holy Talon told him about the source of evil it felt that was buried in Gaara's body. I see. Well, that's about it right now. As far as I can gather on those 2, there may be some missing details, but as far as I can see, the data on the cards on those 2 are the most recent I have. Kabuto then directed his attention to the rest of the genin from the various villages, and he looked at the only band of ninja that was a bit out of his own data cards. What about the newest villages? Kabuto pushed back up his glasses and replied. Leaf, which is our village, has the highest number of ninja participants, while the second is Sand, and then followed Rock, Waterfall, and Grass. The smallest number is the village of Hidden Sound. Sound. I've never heard of them before. You're correct on that regard. They have sent only a small genin squad, and there's little that's known about them. What is known is that they're a new village that is located somewhere in Rice Country. Though being new to the Chunin exams, no one knows just how skilled they are since this will be their first time in the Chunin exams. But the villages mentioned have already sent quite a number of highly skilled teams this time on this exam. It seems that way. It's almost enough to make one lose confidence. Hinata blurted out as she understood just what Kabuto was talking about. Ino naturally was not in the mood for it as she turned and spoke to Hinata. Now's a really fine time for you to talk like that. Hinata sighed and Sakura brought the discussion to a close with a question directed to Kabuto. Do you think it's really going to be tough this time around? Oh yes. In my 4 years being here in the Chunin exams, I can tell you honestly that I've never seen a batch with this much potential in years. Kabuto then spoke solemnly. You guys will need to keep a very low profile since if you try something, they will all certainly be very angry to say the least. They all are strong foes, so saying something to piss them off is not advisable. Naruto thought about it and Sasuke and Sakura wondered if Naruto's silence meant that he was getting frightened by all that he had been told by Kabuto. Kabuto himself noted that and wondered if the blonde Konoha genin with the sword on his back would be frightened by the information he had been handing him and his classmates. Naruto-kun. Is he getting scared by all this? Maybe I should talk to him. I mean, it's okay to be scared and all. Those guys are older and more experienced than us since we're rookies. Don't tell me the Dobie's going to choke on this. Please tell me he isn't going to quit here and now, after all we had to deal with to get here. Neither of them had to worry as Naruto laughed out loud and then looked right at all of the other teams and pointed right at all of them with a challenging glare. All right you guys. Listen up. I am Naruto Uzumaki and I am going to beat the tar out of every last one of you, so bring it on and show me just how tough you all really are. Believe it. And with that, Naruto reached behind him and took out Holy Talon and with a light stomp, thrust his sword deep into the ground and sent a slight shockwave into the room, making his point a little bit more pronounced than usual. Behind the door, Kakashi was smiling all the while and laughing to himself. I guess I don't have to worry too much. Naruto might not have enough wits to be scared like the others, but he's certainly got bravery in basket loads. This is actually going to be fun. Sasuke and Kabuto were smirking a bit at Naruto's statement. Ha, the Dobie's really on fire now. I guess I was worried for nothing. No matter how many odds you put before him, he's not backing down from any of them. This exams are going to be fun. Interesting. This blonde guy certainly has got guts by the basket loads if he's saying that. Not to mention, that sword, it's got a very strong energy to it as well. This year's going to be fun. The other rookie genin were stunned at Naruto's words to the rest of the other teams, and Sakura was shocked, but then again, she recalled that with the Holy Talon with him and the still undiscovered powers inside the sword, Naruto was very much confident in himself at this point and time. Ino was shocked though a bit odd that Naruto was going all out, and so was Hinata as she admired Naruto's bravery, while the others, even Shino wondered if Naruto was either acting brave, or losing his mind. The rest of the genin were not happy and quite a number of them itching for a chance to give Naruto a serious lesson to keep his trap shut. In one of the groups were the Sand siblings. Gaara watched with a slight smirk, while Kankuro growled a bit. That's the same guy as before who had that sword on me. Tamari nodded as she looked at Naruto with a smile and slight blush. He's really got guts to be saying that. I like that. In another side of the whole room was Konoha Genin Team 10, Tenten, Lee, and Neji were looking on as the atmosphere in the room became darker after Naruto spoke. Tenten sighed a bit and smirked a little as she recalled just what Naruto said. That guy's something else. He's certainly got spirit. Neji replied as he studied Naruto. Lee interjected as well. He's got fire and passion. I guess he's going to be quite the handful, isn't he? One group of genin however had other ideas. Did you hear what that one said about our village of the hidden sound? He called us little, a mystery. Zaku said with a glare at Kabuto. I heard. Dosu replied as the only female in their group, the one named Kin spoke as well. I think we need to teach this guy a lesson. I think so as well. Remove some of the mystery about sound, help up his information for him and let him know that if he insults the sound shinobi, he's going to have to be ready for the consequences. The other genin in the rookies looked at Naruto who then took back Holy Talon and then tossed it into the air, and as it flipped and then landed blade down, Naruto leaned to the left a bit to show the sheath and the blade slid right into it without cutting him in the slightest. Kiba and Shikamaru then spoke to Naruto. I didn't hear that. Maybe you should say that again, and a little louder this time. Have you lost what's left of your sanity, Naruto? You want everyone else in this room to hate our guts or what? At that same moment, the sound genin made their move as they dashed towards Kabuto. The senior genin heard the movements but was unsure where they were coming from. The Sand siblings however heard them and Kankuro was about to unleash his puppet from his back, but Gaara stopped him. Kankuro wondered what Gaara was thinking but decided to follow his youngest brother's command and stepped back. Naruto was being told by the others to be more careful with his words, but Holy Talon suddenly spoke urgently to Naruto. Master Naruto, we have incoming threats. 3 attackers closing in on Kabuto and they are serious ones. Naruto reacted quickly, just as Zaku leapt over a desk and Kabuto spotted him. The sound genin then tossed a pair of kunai at Kabuto, forcing the genin backwards, but Naruto was already there. Using the enhanced speed he gained and with Holy Talon in hand, sliced the kunai in mid-flight. He then sensed Dosu who ignored him and went straight for Kabuto who was just getting his bearings. Naruto then recalled a sword skill that Holy Talon had taught him and he used it as he the sword back and slashed outward, sending a powerful blade of glowing chakra flying out of the sword and it was aimed right at Dosu's back. Dragon Claw. Dosu sensed the attack and looked in surprise as he was forced to stop his assault on Kabuto and leapt away as the chakra blade flew past him and suddenly dissipated before it would hit Kabuto, who was surprised himself as the energy faded before it could touch him. Naruto then leapt over Dosu and landed in front of Kabuto with Holy Talon in a defensive position with Holy Talon in both hands, near his head and aimed forward with the tip aiming right at the 3 sound genin. Naruto glared darkly at the 3 and allowed Holy Talon to glow in white flame, catching the eyes of everyone in the room. He then spoke, but there was something a bit different in his voice, almost like an animalistic growl. You've got some guts trying that. Dosu looked at Naruto darkly and spoke, despite being surprised of what had just happened. This has nothing to do with you punk, the issue we have is with your informant friend there. Naruto growled, almost like a dragon would as Sakura walked over to Kabuto and checked on him. You okay Kabuto? Yeah, I'm fine. Kabuto then directed his attention to both Naruto and Holy Talon and studied them. He's got exceptional skill with that sword, and somehow he was able to command that chakra-based attack like it was a part of him. Yet there's something different about that sword, it's as if it's not normal. This is interesting. The other genin in the rookie group were surprised indeed as they never saw that move before, though Sasuke was somewhat impressed, after all he had seen Naruto fight with the Holy Talon before. The others thought that not only did Naruto physically change, but apparently he had trained in some new tricks as well. Gaara nodded. That was interesting. Kankuro nodded and despite his reluctance, he had to admit, the kid did surprisingly well. I agree, never saw that move before, that sword he's got is not ordinary. Tamari didn't say anything as she was blushing a bit at that. Tenten was surprised and so were Lee and Neji. The brown-haired Kunoichi had to admit that Naruto was certainly showing something interesting of himself right now. It seems he's not all looks and talk. I agree, he's got the moves as well. Naruto glared at Dosu's words and naturally made his anger known to the sound genin. I don't give a damn about your issues, you try that again and I'll make sure it's your last mistake. The sound genin glared, though Kin looked at Naruto more intensely than her teammates, and amazingly enough, she licked her lips at the sight of Naruto in his combat form. Zaku then spoke to Kabuto. Consider yourself lucky this blonde dope's actually got some skills to save your sorry butt. But write this down your information cards. By the end of the exams, the village of the hidden sound genin will be Chunin by the time this is over. Dosu then spoke to Naruto. And as for you, I'm going to make sure you learn the foolishness of sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, brat. And I'm going to make sure that if you try something like that on me, you're going to be 6 feet underground, pushing up flowers and grass, and acting as fertilizer when I'm done. Naruto shot back, but before things could get really underway, a large cloud of smoke appeared in the room, and a booming voice was heard. All right, you bunch of baby-faced degenerates. The fun and games are over, so get to your seats and stay there before I personally staple your butts on them. The smoke cleared and out of the smoke were a large bunch of Chunin and in the middle was a really tall and muscular man. The guy was dressed in a black trench coat along with the usual uniform of a Chunin proctor, with heavy gloves with metal plates on them and he wore a forehead protector with the leaf symbol on it in the form of a bandana. He had several scars on his face that really made him look scary, namely the one that ran from his left cheek to his lip, and his voice certainly didn't help matters as he spoke once more. It's time to begin the Chunin exams. I am Ibiki Morino, your proctor for today, and also your worst nightmare and enemy come to life. Naruto looked towards the new arrivals and sighed as he could tell that now was not the time for him to get violent as he quickly sheathed Holy Talon in the sheath behind him. Just as Ibiki was done speaking with the rest of the classes, he then pointed a finger to the sound genin, and he was not in the best of moods as he spoke. You genin from the village from the hidden sound. What makes you think that you can just start fighting before the start of the exams? You want to be failed out from the exams before it's even started. Dosu spoke in his usual arrogant tone. Sorry, we're new here so we're kind of jumpy, sir. Ibiki gave a snort and a slight glare and then directed his attention to the rest of the genin teams, including Naruto. I'll only say this once so you all had better pay attention. There will be no combat between candidates, no attacking without the permission of your proctor, and even if that happens, use of fatal force is forbidden. If you do break those rules while I'm here and you try to piss me off, not only will I physically throw you out of the Chunin exams, but I'll bar you and your team from ever being in it and taking the rank of Chunin. Do I make myself clear? The other genin got the message and all of them were ready, while one of the sound genin, Zaku, replied smugly. No fatal force, that's no fun. The rest of the Chunin smirked and chuckled lightly as they. Naruto however didn't seem to notice as he waited for what sort of exam was this first part of the Chunin exams were supposed to be. Ibiki was the one who started the whole thing as he spoke once more with full authority in his voice. Now that we've got that over and done with, it's time for the first stage of the Chunin exams to officially begin. Submit your paperwork and you will each be then given a number. The number then determines where you will be seating. Once you're seated, we will begin the written test portion of the Chunin exams. That got Naruto's attention right off the bat. The what? Did he just say what I think he said? One of the Chunin confirmed Naruto's worst fears as he was handling a large bundle of test papers, and the looks Naruto had on his face got the attention of both Sakura and Kabuto. Was Naruto looked like he was about to be stunned out of his mind. Naruto slapped his forehead and groaned. Written exams, I should have known that this was going to be part of the Chunin exams. This is going to be trouble, for me anyway. Later, the Chunin all took seats around the walls of the room as the genin were right in the middle. The genin were naturally broken apart so there was no chance that they would be as a team when they took the test, and Naruto knew that for a fact as he sat then and looked at the exam papers. The blonde ninja was not in the best of states as he looked at the exam papers. This is just great. I don't know where Sasuke and Sakura-chan are sitting right now. This is not good. I'm all alone right now. In the back of Naruto at least a few rows back, Sakura watched her teammate, and truth be told, she was getting a bit worried. She normally would have snickered or laughed at Naruto since she knew for a fact that written exams were not his strong point, but not today. She was concerned on what might happen for her blonde teammate. This is not good. Naruto didn't do very well in any written exams back in the academy. Well, I just hope that the exams aren't too hard. Naruto placed his hands on the sides of his head and mused on what he should do right now, but it was then that he heard someone calling his name right next to him. Naruto-kun. He turned and to his surprise, he found himself looking at none other than Hinata Hyuga, who was currently blushing bright red as she sat next to him, while he still had Holy Talon next to him. The Hyuga girl couldn't help but be thankful for her luck at sitting close to her crush, who had gone from cute in her eyes, to outright devastatingly handsome. Naruto recognized her quickly and smiled in greeting. Hi Hinata. Wow, I didn't know you were seating here. Is something wrong? Wow, she's good, I wasn't aware that she was right next to me. It's because you were worried about the written exams that you failed to notice her presence, Master Naruto. She did acquire the next number that you did when she submitted her paperwork. Maybe you're right, but she's good at avoiding my senses. I guess she's really worked hard on that since I last saw her. Hinata shook her head and smiled at her crush, while willing herself not to faint as she could see how much Naruto had changed. He was taller than her now and he seemed to be so masculine. She reluctantly pushed those thoughts aside and spoke. No, I'm fine Naruto-kun, I wanted to say, good luck and everything. Naruto smiled right back at her and replied. Good luck to you too Hinata. From the looks of things, I'm certainly going to need it. Ibiki then took out a piece of chalk and tapped the board with a slightly quick pace, grabbing the attention of everyone in the room. All right everyone, eyes front, before we begin the exam, I want to make it clear to all of you that there are a few rules you all will need to hear, and no, I will not entertain any questions, so shut it and listen up good the first time around. Sakura and the other genin were stunned by that, and she was the first to think it over. No questions answered. What sort of rules does he have in mind? Ibiki then began to write on the board, and as he did so, he also spoke out just what they had to get themselves ready for the moment he gave the order for the exams to finally take place. Alright. Rule number 1 is that this written exam is graded in a point reduction system. However, unlike what you're all used to, you all start with a perfect score of 10 points. For every answer you get wrong, you will lose 1 point. So if you fail to provide the correct answer to 3 questions, your total score will be 7. So if I get all of it wrong, I don't get squat. That's a real mess. Naruto thought as he listened to what the proctor was telling them. However, the next rule he was going to give out was really going to grab Naruto, and just about everyone else right in the guts and yank them the hard way. Rule number 2. Teams will either pass, or fail through the total scores of all team members, so that means all of you have to give high marks in order to pass the exam. That got the reaction of shock and anxiety from just about everyone in the room full of genin, as they all gasped in shock and realization on just what sort of a situation they had just been able to find themselves in. The team of Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino were tense. The Sand siblings, Gaara, Tamari, and Kenkiro kept their cool. Shino, Kiba, and Hinata were silent the whole time, while the sound genin Kin, Dosu, and Zaku were also calm as well. Sakura, however, was far from cool as she hit her head on the table and on her test paper, and when she looked back up, she was livid with shock, unmindful of the bruise on her forehead. What the heck? Are you saying we all get scored as a team? Silence. I have my reasons for the rules, so shut up and listen. Reasons. Now then, rule number 3. The Chunin sentinels you see that are around the room are there to watch you for any signs of cheating. And if they catch someone cheating, they deduct 2 points from the culprit's score. What? Huh. Ibiki was enjoying this as he spoke once more to the genin who he could see were already feeling the pressure. Be warned, their eyes are very sharp. Once they catch you, you'll regret it, and on the off chance you get caught 5 times, then your history and you will be dismissed from the Chunin exams before the scores are even tallied and recorded. The genin were really feeling the pressure, and Sakura was not happy as she began to understand the situation they were in and how hopeless it sounded to her. Sheesh, the tests and rules are so hard, and there's so many ways to lose points here. How in the heck are we supposed to pass this test with that many rules? Anyone foolish enough to be caught by the sentinels does not deserve to be a ninja. If you truly want to be Chunin, then you will have to show us just what kind of exceptional ninja you can be and what you all really are. I've got my eyes on you all, so be ready. One of the Chunin replied as he looked at the genin daringly, making them gulp and be even more stressed out. Sakura then placed her mind to work as she tried to figure out a solution. Okay, calm down Sakura and relax. I know I'll do all right, and so will Sasuke-kun, but I'm more worried about Naruto-kun. Wait, if me and Sasuke-kun do well enough, we might survive this, even if Naruto gets a 0 in the scores. Oh yes, there is one more thing I need to mention to all of you. If any candidate gets a 0, then the entire team he or she belongs to fails instantly. Ibiki said with a slight grin and a very dark and serious expression. Sasuke was shocked by that announcement, and Sakura was livid, while Naruto felt their glares directed right at him, and the only thing he could do was once more shake his head and slap his forehead with his hand. Great, that's really adding the last nail on my coffin with a bang. He's a strict one all right. Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, and she was very worried for Naruto as she knew that while she was good in academics as well, though not in the same caliber as Sakura, she was still very good at what she did when it involved academics, but Naruto was another matter and she was worried that he might not do well. She wanted to do something to help her longtime crush, but what could her option be? The final question won't be given until 15 minutes before the end of the testing period. Therefore you have only 1 hour to finish the full number of questions in your exam paper. And at exactly 3:30, Ibiki gave the go-ahead for the exams to begin. Begin. The genin wasted no time and began to make their moves on the exam. Sakura took a deep breath to calm her nerves and thought it over. Okay, calm down Sakura, you can do this. This is where you can really show your stuff. Please Naruto-kun, just get one of the questions right. Sasuke shook his head mentally and gazed right at his blonde teammate, and while he didn't want to show it, he was also worried about how Naruto was going to get out of this one. This is not good. All he's going is just sitting there. He might choke for real this time. I just hope that sword he's got, Holy Talon, can get him out of the mess he's in or we're done for. Sakura and Sasuke, however, didn't have to worry too much, as Holy Talon was not just a living weapon or a massive container of dragon magic and essences. It was created with the knowledge of the holy dragons and their leader Faldron, who had lived for over 25,000 years and had taught countless dragon champions, and since it was under Naruto's command, it was more than ready to aid its wielder. Master Naruto, please let me see the questions. Why? What do you plan to do? I intend to help you with this problem you have. All you have to do is to allow me to see the questions and decipher them for you, and I will provide you with the needed answers to the questions. Can you do that? Of course, Master Naruto. All you need to do is to run your right hand, which has the Dragon Champion tattoo on it, slowly. I will then read the questions slowly through your hand using magic and decipher them. Once I'm done, I will relay the answers to you. But what if we get caught? You need not worry, Master Naruto. As you might have guessed, no one but you can hear my voice due to you being my wielder, thus there is no way they can hear me giving you the answers. And I have gained quite a lot of knowledge over the many centuries of my existence. I am not just limited to combat techniques, sword styles, hand-to-hand moves, spells, and warfare. I carry knowledge on art, philosophy, literature, science, engineering, mathematics, geology, geography, magical incantations, medicine, tactics, social graces, economics, strategy, politics, and more. And since I resemble a sword, no one here would suspect that I am a living sword despite my unusual appearance. In this case, you have the advantage over all of them, with the exception of Sakura and Sasuke, as your pink-haired teammate has the highest intelligence in your team, and Sasuke can find his own way to answer the questions before him, namely with the Sharingan you mentioned that he has at his disposal. Naruto smiled at that and realized what that meant to him. The Holy Talon could translate the questions to its own language and then tell him the answers to his questions, and the beauty of it was, he was not cheating officially. He was cheating in a way, but his way of cheating was totally unique since he was not cheating in the normal fashion that most ninja were known to do. No one could hear Holy Talon's voice but him, and no one else knew that the sword was a living being, except himself and the Hokage, and that meant that none of the Chunin sentinels would be able to see him cheat, and better yet, be unable to hear the words the Holy Talon would say to him. It was brilliant. He almost wanted to scream out for joy and brag about his advantage, but he knew better and kept his trap shut. Man, I'm really happy you're on my side, Holy Talon. You need not thank me, Master Naruto. It is my duty to serve you as my wielder and master. Well, thanks anyway. How long will it take for you to come up with the answers? At least half an hour maximum, since I will need to translate the questions to my language and then I will speak the answers to you in yours. Once you are done with what the procedure requires, you can relax and take it easy for now. Naruto smiled warmly and then ran his right hand over the question paper, and he watched as the tattoo glowed very faintly and he felt a slight rush of energy in his arm. As soon as he was done, Holy Talon told him that he can relax for the time being, but it then suggested that he act worried to further shield himself from any prying eyes. Naruto did so, and sure enough, he was able to act in such a way that almost no one suspected that he had an ally already giving him the answers he needed. He then looked about and decided to observe the happenings about him, while retaining the image of struggling, his often panicking under pressure. Sasuke was dealing one problem that involved a precise analysis of how several key factors could affect a shuriken when thrown at a target in a tree. Along with other factors, the Uchiha survivor had to admit that this was one exam that was really going to test his brain cells. Sakura, on the other hand, proved her intelligence as she scanned the problems carefully and managed to figure them out. These are all integrated problems based on uncertainty and require highly complex mechanical energy analysis, incredibly advanced stuff for an exam. There's no way Naruto can solve these things. He doesn't have a chance. In fact, I'll bet that there's only a handful of genin here apart from me who could even solve these without losing their minds through the problems. Sakura looked at the other problems while Naruto continued to act all freaked out but trying not to panic, which in truth came naturally since he knew that without Holy Talon's help, he would have been sunk long ago. Each problem just gets even harder as you complete the first. This is really hard stuff for anyone. Sasuke himself finally admitted that even he couldn't understand these problems. This is really getting interesting. I can't even begin to understand all these problems. Hinata looked at Naruto and she had to admit that she was deeply worried about how her longtime crush was handling the pressure, unaware of the fact that it was only a ruse made by the blonde genin to keep himself occupied and away from most scrutiny, until Holy Talon completed its analysis of the questions. She wondered what she should do to help her crush out of her predicament. She knew how much Naruto wanted to be Hokage someday. And the idea of failing and being denied that chance must be hard for him. What should I do? I have to help Naruto-kun somehow, but what can I do for him? Sakura ran her hand in her hair and thought it over once more. These problems are real hard. I'm almost tempted to. No, that's a bad idea. If I get caught, that's really going to affect the others. But why all these rules? I don't get it. It's almost as if they want us to try and cheat to pass this exam. But why go through all the trouble of making rules against cheating when they are encouraging cheating in the first place? Unless they want us to cheat on purpose without us getting caught by them. Sasuke himself found out about the hidden trick in the exams as well as Sakura did. He had to admit that it was hard to figure out at first, but the test did have an ulterior motive for being this hard. The reason these problems get successively harder is the fact that the only way to pass is to cheat, and that is to see how we gather intelligence under dire circumstances, and this is as dire as things can get, not to mention the rules are not actually forbidding cheating, but encouraging it. This test was made this way in order for us to reveal our ability as ninja to gather information and use it, but without revealing anything to the ones observing us. I just hope that the others have figured it out already. Naruto looked on and then out of nowhere, he heard Hinata speak to him in a low voice, apparently in order not to be heard by the Chunin sentinels. NN Naruto-kun. Huh. What is it, Hinata? I. If, why you want. You could, Hinata tried to speak, but she was so nervous at this moment that she was once more stuttering as she looked lovingly at her handsome crush since her academy days. She couldn't help herself as she looked at him and felt herself blushing once more. However, she clamped down a bit on her emotions and focused on doing what she had in mind, as she slowly slid her exam paper closer to Naruto, hopefully without being seen. She had answered several problems already and she was assured of her correct answers to the questions, and she hoped that Naruto wouldn't mind. Why you could. See copy. From, me. This got Naruto's attention as he couldn't believe that Hinata, one of the strangest, and somewhat weird, shy, and yet nice girl he knew was actually saying that she was alright with him copying her answers. He didn't expect this and he quickly began top suspect something was off with how Hinata was acting. This could be a trick. No, what the heck am I thinking? This is Hinata here, she's too nice to actually go into tricking someone. Or maybe she was forced by Kiba and Shino. I wouldn't count them out for trying something like that. I do not think so, Master Naruto. From what I can sense, Hinata's gestures are not forced or coerced, they are totally sincere, and that means she's actually wanting to give you the answers that she has already completed. Wait a minute, are you saying that Hinata's actually giving me the answers to the questions freely? But that's just weird. No offense meant. I mean, I really like the gesture, but why would she do that? I believe it's because she cares about you. Her aura tells me that she feels something for you and wants to help you in her own way, even if she might get into serious trouble, since if she is caught doing this, there is a chance that she will be barred from taking the Chunin exam, and I doubt Kiba and Shino would like that. But she's willing to do that for you, Master Naruto, though she seems to be really having a hard time focusing on it, considering the way she's stuttering and blushing. Hinata's doing all this because she cares about me. I never knew that, but what does that mean? Why would Hinata do all this for me? What would she like about me anyway? I'm not entirely sure why she likes you, Master Naruto, since I cannot fathom her reasons for that attitude she shows towards you, but I can assure you that Hinata has affections for you. If you really wish to know the reason, then you must ask her yourself. However, it would be best for you both to stop this. If she is caught, then she will pay for it, and I doubt you'd like that, Master Naruto. And there is the fact that if you are caught, then your teammates will also be caught in the firing line. Holy Talon was right. Naruto thought about it and knew that to be true. While he appreciated Hinata's gestures and in normal situations, he would have taken this chance since he would have been very desperate at this point. But he didn't want Hinata to suffer all for his sake. He was still unsure as to why Hinata had feelings towards him, but he would find out eventually. Until then, he would have to tell her politely that he can't ask her to give up her chance to be a chunin for his own. He would have never wanted that. Along with that was the fact that if he was caught cheating, he would also involve both Sakura and Sasuke, and that further convinced him to turn that idea down. Hinata. Why yes NN Naruto-kun. I thank you for the options, but I have to say no. BBU but why? I don't mean that I don't appreciate you helping me, in fact I am happy that you are doing that for me of all people. But I won't have you get caught by the sentinels and be kicked out of the Chunin exams because of me. You made it this far to be in the exams Hinata, I won't have you lose it now. Hinata looked a bit surprised at that, and then Naruto smiled warmly at her, making her blush brightly as he spoke once more. Besides, I am a ninja Hinata, I am my own brand of ace ninja and I will make my way through this. You don't have to worry about me Hinata, go do what you're doing and I will be right with you. I can do this. Hinata looked at him and saw the sincerity in her crush's eyes and his face. He was going to pull through and she felt her heart go out to her long-time crush as she smiled warmly at him. All right then, good luck. Hinata then went to work on her test as Naruto spoke to Holy Talon. Did I do the right thing? You did well enough Master Naruto, she'll be fine and I am almost done with the questions, but it seems that my warning to you was well warranted, move your head aside now. Naruto did so as a kunai came out of nowhere and missed him and hit the test paper of one of the genin behind him. The guy was stunned by this and a Chunin sentinel had just told him that he had cheated 5 times and was out. After a few protests, he and his team were out of the room. They were not the only ones as the Chunin sentinels began to remove genin teams one by one. Like Sasuke and Sakura, the other genin teams were already using their moves to cheat in the exam in order to pass it and show their stuff. Shino sent some of his bugs to examine the papers of the other genin, and when they all got correct and needed information, the bugs then spoke to Shino, and since Shino was a specially skilled ninja whose clan specialized in insects, he was able to speak to them in the same way Naruto could talk to Holy Talon. Likewise, Akamaru scanned the room with his vision, which was a bit stronger than Kiba's, and relayed in barks and yips what he saw, and Kiba, being familiar with the language of dogs, understood that very quickly. Tenten on the other hand had placed a hidden set of mirrors on a light above her and used hidden metal wires to move the mirrors to copy the answers, namely from Shino's own paper as well. She then sent a message to Lee, who acknowledged his grasp of the answers with his headband. Neji on the other hand was using his Byakugan to see the actions of the other genin to determine which one he could be able to read and gather answers from. Kankuro got his answers with the aid of one of his puppets who posed as a Chunin. Gaara however kept his composure and relaxed himself. Sasuke used his Sharingan to gather the answers from another genin. The sound genin used their own training in telling the difference of sound waves and patterns to locate the right answers being written on the paper. And soon enough Gaara made his move as Ibiki watched him. That one is as calm as ever, he's different all right. Gaara however had already begun to cheat by creating a sand replica of an eyeball and used it to spy on the other genin, with the sand blinding them and giving him a window of opportunity to go his thing. Ibiki noted that but let it pass for the time being. The only one who was not cheating was Sakura herself, as her high level of intellect was brought to the forefront of the exam as she answered the problems without resorting to any cheating methods. Ino also used her clan's body and spirit switching jutsu to temporarily take command of Sakura's vision and gain the answers for her team. Much to Shikamaru and Choji's approval, this gave them the edge they needed in this test. It was at this time that Holy Talon was finished with its translations and deciphering of the questions, and it now spoke at its master and wielder. Master Naruto, I have finished my work, I am now giving you the answers. Great. Naruto dropped his disguise of panic and worry and smiled widely as he was given the answers by the Holy Dragon Sword and took up the pencil and began to write in the answers to the questions as Holy Talon gave him the answers. This made Naruto relax a bit more as he was able to finish the answers before the time was nearing the expired rate. However, he was wondering about the mentioned 10th question. The one that was not going to be given out until the exam period was over. He wondered why it was kept out of the test itself. Holy Talon then told its master what it was able to find out about the objectives of the test, namely, since the reason why the problems were so hard was to encourage cheating, or rather in military speak, to gather information, in the most adverse conditions. Naruto was surprised at that. and took a bit of time figuring it out a bit more and then sighed a bit and went on to finish the exams. As soon as he was done, Ibiki got ready to finally drop the 10th question right on the top of everyone's heads. Now that we got rid of the hopeless cases, it's time to really get the main event rolling and crank up the heat on our survivors. All right then, it's time for the final question, so get ready and listen up good. This guy's really full of himself. Sasuke thought as he looked on, while Sakura herself thought as well on the 10th question. Here it is, the final obstacle to overcome. Kankuro, hurry up. We won't make it out if you don't get here in them for the final questions. In the Hokage Tower, Kurenai, Asuma, and Kakashi were busy sitting down and thinking about the year's Chunin exams and how different this year's Chunin exams were. Kakashi noted the silence and he began to wish he could hear his team's voices once more, despite the calm atmosphere. It's really quiet without the rookies around, makes me wish they were here to liven things up a little. Asuma sighed and spoke to his fellow Jonin. You might be seeing them again sooner than you think, Kakashi. Oh, why's that, Asuma? Because they have the most dangerous and most sadistic Jonin to be their proctor this year. You and I both know him and how capable he is at what he does. And I can bet that a large number of the Genin teams are being weeded out. You mean? That's right. The rookies on all our teams have gotten the short end of the stick this year for this stage of the Chunin exams. Ibiki's the one who's giving them the Chunin exams right now. And you and both know what that means when Ibiki's the one in charge of the exams. Already their chances of passing look very low. That's really handing them to the wolves right off the bat. Kakashi sighed at that and knew that things had just gotten thrown off the deep end for his team. Great. This is really going to be a problem for them if that sadist is the one handling the exams. Kurenai was curious about that as she had never heard of Ibiki before and she naturally wondered why this man was able to get such reactions from veteran Jonin such as Asuma and Kakashi. What do you mean by that? Who's Ibiki? Asuma sighed and explained as he looked at the roof first. I'm not surprised you don't know him, Kurenai, since you've only been appointed as a Jonin recently. You already know that there are actually two groups of Jonin, right? I do, though forgive me if I am ignorant on some things, so what does that have to do with this Ibiki person who's giving the Genin teams the written part of the Chunin exams? Kakashi took over and spoke to Kurenai. Well, the other group of Jonin are different from us and are naturally called special Jonin. Basically they are chosen to have that distinctive rank since they specialize in one particular skill or specialization. In Ibiki's case, his specialty is interrogation. Interrogation. Asuma nodded as he looked at Kurenai. Ibiki Morino is a special Jonin who's had his share of battlefield experience and is a very skilled fighter, though more than once he himself has been captured and tortured by enemy ninja, but he has fought his way through them, but he also learned plenty from those missions and also was able to capture his own share of enemy ninja and interrogate them. He's a specialist in physical and psychological torture. He knows how much a person's mind and body can handle before they break down. That's why he's also the head of the Anbu squads, torture and interrogation teams. He might not be using physical torture on the Genin, but he knows ways on mentally torturing people and interrogating them without the use of physical action. He works his best people's minds and only reserves physical action when the needs come to that. Kakashi nodded in agreement at Asuma's statement, while Kurenai looked on in worry as the facts now became clear to her. That's why he's going to be one hell of a test for the rookies to deal with, and I can bet 10 to 1, they are already seeing just how much of the nightmare Ibiki is when he puts his mind to the task at hand in front of him. Sure enough. Now before you survivors decide to take the 10th question, there are some rules you all might have to be aware of that is part of the question, so listen up good. You've got to be kidding me. What sort of rules does he have this time? Sakura thought as she and the others, including Naruto, looked on and waited for what Ibiki was about to say. The special Jonin then directed his attention to the door as Kankuro entered the room, escorted by his puppet still in the Chunin disguise. The Genin had requested to use the comfort room earlier with the intent on gathering all the information he could on the exam, and he had gone there not just to do the call of nature, but to get the data. Ibiki knew that for a fact but said nothing in order to let Kankuro think that he got off scot-free, but since the 10th question was about to come into play, playtime was now officially over. It was time to toss aside the kid gloves and put on the gauntlets, so to speak. Well now, you made it just in time. I do hope you find your little trip to the bathroom enlightening. He's seen through the disguise, he's on to us. Kankuro kept calm and made his way back to his seat, but not before covertly dropping off a roll of paper the size of a thimble to his sister and then took his seat. Now then, the rules that I am going to give you are purely unique only to question 10 and therefore you will need to listen since I will not repeat them, and try not to let them frighten you. Naruto looked on intensely at that. Those rules he's got for the question don't sound the least bit helpful. What the heck kind of is it? I can't say for sure, Master Naruto, but we will have to keep on moving no matter what. It's your move this time. Rule number 1. Each of you is given the option not to take the question. It shall be your personal decision. What the heck? Naruto thought as this one rule was not making sense. The same thought was also running in Sasuke's mind the very second he heard that new rule as well as the others did, and that rule was also beginning to not make sense to him as well. We're free to choose to answer. That's one of the weirdest rules I've heard of. Tamari was also surprised and was among them to voice that concern. Whoa, there's a catch, isn't there? So what if we choose not to take the 10th question? The answer to that question is very simple. If you choose to not take the 10th question, then your exact total of points, regardless of your answers to the previous questions, will be reduced to 0, and you will fail, and as you already know, if you get a 0, then you all will fail as well. The reactions of the genin were natural as they were talking that they would rather take the question than fail, just as Ibiki knew they would, and now that was the case for all the genin teams. He was going to really turn up the heat on them, and make them think twice before taking the 10th question. He was going to see just how tough they really were. Not so fast, people, you didn't let me finish. Sakura was getting more worried and more annoyed and frustrated. Darn it. Enough with the rules and tell us the question already. Rule number 2. If you do take the question and answer it incorrectly, not only will you be failed from the Chunin exams this year, but you will be forever barred from taking the Chunin exams ever again. Naruto was stunned by that announcement, and practically just about everyone in the room were stunned out of their minds. Kiba and Akamaru were the only ones who voiced out their protest. That's total bull. What kind of rule is that one? And there have been just as many people here who've no doubt taken the exams before. The puppy also voiced its displeasure on the situation itself. Ibiki laughed a bit at that and looked right at both Kiba and Akamaru. Then I guess that means that you're unlucky. I wasn't making the rules in the past exams. Ibiki then glared darkly at all the genin and spoke to them in a very creepy voice. But today, I am making the rules. Of course you don't have to take the 10th question if you don't want to, but know full well what awaits you and your team if you chose not to take it. Either way, that's up to you. Now, you have anything else to say? Kiba and Akamaru could only look on helplessly as the genin sat back on his bench. Of course, if you're not feeling confident enough, then you can skip the question and take the Chunin exams next year. Ibiki then laughed as he waited for the genin to make their move. Sakura was stunned by the revelations and was really worried about the fates of herself and her team. Thanks a lot. If one of us takes the choice to not answer the question, then all 3 of us fail. No way. That won't happen at all, but if either of us take the question and get it wrong, we fail and can't ever take part in the Chunin exams ever again. This really stinks. Why can't they just give us a normal test? Naruto gritted his teeth and was not happy, while Hinata looked worriedly at her crush and hoped that Naruto would be alright. She hoped that she would still be around to see Naruto become the Hokage he wanted to be. Ibiki then looked at all the candidate genin and spoke. All right then, are you ready for the 10th question? Those of you who don't want to take the 10th question will raise your hand. When you do, your number will be recorded and you are free to leave the room. No one among the Chunin sentinels here will stop you. Naruto was really not liking this situation. Any suggestions, Holy Talon? I'm afraid not, Master Naruto. It's your move. I guess, but I don't know if the 10th question is easy or not. If I get it wrong, then I am a genin for life, and with the way things are going, no, I can't skip that question either even if I wanted to. If I do, then the whole team's going down. I can't let Sasuke and Sakura-chan down after all this and what we had been through. I can't and I won't. I have to decide. My team and my future as a genin hangs on this decision. Sakura was also deep in thought and great worry. Well, there's no way that he can get me to raise my hand. I won't give up and lose this chance. But Naruto, this is serious, more so than the previous questions. He doesn't have a chance in this. Go ahead, Naruto. Raise your hand. I know that it would really be a blow to your pride and your dreams, but you don't have to worry about me and Sasuke-kun. There's always the second Chunin exams, just think about yourself for now. The pressure of the rules was more than some genin were willing to take, as there were those who began to raise their hands. One of the genin in question was right next to Naruto as he dropped his pencil and raised his hand. That was then followed by the raising of hands by other genin, and their numbers along with the numbers of their teammates were called out as they all left the room. Only 78 teams were left at that, and it was making things even harder for the rest who were still there in the room. Sakura looked at Naruto as the blonde ninja was still and silent, totally unlike the loudmouth blonde that she knew back then in the academy and now. Come on Naruto. Raise your hand, why don't you do that? It was then that Sakura recalled the times Naruto had said that his dream was to be Hokage, and what raising his hand means to him. Naruto. Flashback 1. Someday I'm going to be Hokage and then you'll look up to me. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I will become Hokage, so remember my name. Flashback 2. Ah, shut up. I'm willing to do anything to become Hokage someday, and I don't care what it takes to be Hokage. Flashback 3. I want to be the best and most respected Hokage, then the whole village will stop treating me like I'm nobody and treat me like I'm somebody of importance. That is my dream. Back to the present. Sakura recalled all those times and she couldn't help but feel great sadness and respect for the teammate that she looked down upon, and how serious this was for him. Hokage. Hokage. He wants to be Hokage so he can be respected. Naruto, you have a serious one-track mind. If he raised his hand, not only will it be a blow to his pride, but it will kill him to have the dream of being Hokage taken from him like this and be denied that dream for all his life. I can't let him be like this. He doesn't have to. I guess I will do it. Don't worry, you guys can dot his next year, and I'll be ready for it. Unknown to her, Naruto already made up his mind. I am not going to back down from this. Holy Talon, can I count on you if I make this choice? You do not need to ask me that, Master Naruto. Whatever decision you make or what path you choose, I will be by your side to whatever end awaits you. All my power and skill are yours to command in what you seek to accomplish. Naruto smiled a bit and raised his hand, getting the attention of Hinata, Sakura, and Sasuke, and all of them were very worried about this as he held up his hand. Back with the Jonin. How did Ibiki become head of the Anbu interrogation and torture teams? Ibiki is a master of interrogation, because he has a deep understanding of how a person's mind works. He knows just where to push and prod that he uncovers your inner weaknesses. In fact, he's so good at it he only resorts to physical torture if it needs to be done, and he doesn't have to at times. He messes up your head so much, you end up torturing yourself. Asuma said to Kurenai as Kakashi looked on. Back in room 301. Naruto held up his hand and everyone was looking, that is until he dropped his hand on the table with a bang and stood up and glared defiantly at Ibiki, unmindful of the commotion he was causing and the looks being given to him. Don't you dare think you can underestimate me. I don't quit and I don't run. I don't give a damn if I'll be a genin for the rest of my natural life. I won't be intimidated or scared by either you, the Chunin Sentinels looking like hawks, or the 10th question you've got in that head of yours. I don't care how tough you act or really are. I will be Hokage someday and I will never take those words back. Ever. Sasuke and Sakura were stunned at that, and just about every other genin team from the other villages were surprised at that. As Naruto sat down, Hinata blushed once more as she saw the truth in Naruto's face and how much he had changed. Naruto-kun, you've become so brave and so strong. I won't give up either. I will take the 10th question as well, no matter what happens. Shino looked at Naruto and gave a slight grunt, but he nodded a bit at how much Naruto had changed since he had last seen him. He has changed. Kiba had to admit that Naruto was different from before. Akamaru also agreed with his master as he had never seen Naruto this fired up. He's certainly got guts this time around, a hell of a lot more than he did back in the academy. Ino also nodded as she looked at Naruto. He's really different, not just in looks too, he's going to be interesting. Shikamaru sighed a bit. Man, he's still as loud as ever, despite the fact he's gotten a great deal of courage to go with the looks and moves, at least that hasn't changed too much or I'd never recognize him. Choji smirked a bit. This is getting to be fun. Dosu also noted that and had to grin a little behind his face wrappings. The brat's got backbone to go with the moves, I'm going to enjoy taking him out when I get the chance. Tamari was smiling at that with a slight blush. That blonde hottie really has got the guts to say those things, I'm really going to like him. Kankuro grumbled, but he had to admit that Naruto was more than looks and moves as well. Gaara didn't show too much emotion, but he was actually glad that the blonde was still going at it. It would disappoint him if he backed out this early before they got to fight one another. Tenten smiled a bit at that. He's really on fire now, I can't wait to see him in action in the exams. Lee was impressed and smiled at Naruto's bravery and strength of will. He has the fire of youth in him, and it's really in full power. I can't wait to see him in action. Neji looked at Naruto and had to admit, he was different. This Naruto Uzumaki is interesting, he needs to be watched. Sasuke smiled at that and laughed mentally to himself. He's really stubborn and might have no idea what he is saying and what he's about to get into. But then again, he is who he is, Naruto, the most unpredictable ninja the academy's ever had, and he's got the guts and courage to go with it. I hate to say it, but this is fun to watch. Sakura couldn't help but smile at her teammates' actions. Way to go, you crazy good-looking fool. I guess I will have to be nicer to you now, since you've really changed a good deal since the first time I saw you, Naruto-kun. Ibiki looked on and then spoke directly to Naruto. This decision will not just affect you now as a genin, but your future as a ninja for all time, and that of your teammates as well. If there is a chance for you to save your skin, now is your chance. Naruto replied right back at Ibiki. No way. I won't back down from this and I won't take back my words. I am a ninja to the very end, I will keep my word and that is my way of the ninja. The other genin were also acting differently, their faces once filled with tension, worry, and more were now different. It showed courage, determination, strength and focus, and Ibiki and the rest of the Chunin Sentinels saw that as well. All 78 genin teams were now fired up and ready. No one raised their hands, they were all going to stay and take the question. Ibiki was not showing emotions as a special jonin and head of the interrogation and torture team of the Anbu, but he was impressed, very impressed. Remarkable, his outburst has given the rest of the teams the backbone and will to keep on moving. He's inspired them to stay and fight, all 78 of them, they are a lot more than I expected. But none of them are wavering or backing down, not like the others who have left. And all because of that blonde kid with the sword on his back. I think that's it. Ibiki turned to face the other Chunin Sentinels and they too were impressed and gave their nods. Ibiki nodded and knew that the time had come to tell them the true purpose of the written exams and the 10th question. Well, I admire your determination and will, if nothing else, for those of you who are still remaining, there is only one thing left to do. And that is for me to tell you that you all have passed the first stage of the Chunin exams. That got a reaction from all the genin teams, they were stunned by this. Naruto was as well. Sakura, however, was the very first to voice out their collective surprise. Whoa, what just happened? What do you mean we passed the exam? Where's the 10th question you were going to ask us? Ibiki was enjoying this and laughed a bit and then explained. There never was a 10th question, at least not a written one. You see, the decision to stay, your decision is the answer to the 10th question. So you're saying that all the questions we've answered in the written test were all for nothing? Tamari said with surprise. Hardly. The questions in the written exam were designed to test your abilities to gather information, accurate information that could help you and your team in dire conditions. That is the reason why the rules were made that way, and the rules as well were made so that you had to cheat. In real life, the conditions of the battle zone demand that in order for you to get the advantage you must have all the information that you can get. That was enough for Tamari as she relaxed her glare at Ibiki and spoke. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Now allow me to clarify a few points, the first one being the reason why you are all graded as a team. The reason for the scoring as a team was to make you aware of the fact that in order to survive you had to work as one team and that your individual decisions would affect your entire squad. Naruto sighed and relaxed a bit that things were now over. Sakura thought the very same thing, and so did Sasuke. Hinata laughed silently and smiled at how relaxed Naruto was now. She loved it when he was in a genuine happy mood. The first 9 questions were made to be successively difficult, and in fact, you may have realized that they were made too difficult for any genin to solve normally. The only way you would have gained the correct answers was to cheat. Of course you would have to know the ones who truly had the answers since you needed someone to cheat from. That was why we had placed two Chunin who were disguised as genin who were already familiar with the correct answers, to serve as the ones you had to copy the answers from. The two disguised Chunin smiled and raised their hands, and Naruto gave a look of genuine surprise to see that one of the said Chunin was right in front of him. However, he decided to just relax for now. Those who were caught at it failed, because it is better not to cheat than to cheat badly. Information is vital in any battle, and how well you can gather that information can determine whether a mission can be a successful victory or a disastrous defeat. Ibiki then removed his own forehead protector, bandana, and to the shock, horror, and disgust of most of the genin, including Naruto, they spotted horrible wounds on Ibiki's head. There were jagged scars, puncture wounds, burn marks, lacerations, and more. Whoa, how the heck did he get that many injuries? It comes with the dangers of missions, Master Naruto. All warriors, even dragon champions, carry great wounds that are a testament to their struggles. And make no mistake of this, there will be times you have to risk your very life to get the information. Sasuke looked over the number of injuries and had to admit they were something else entirely. Man, that guy's head is a freaking mess. Scars, puncture marks, burns, what he must have endured. Hinata gasped while Naruto shook his head, and only Gaara remained calm and relaxed on the whole thing. Ibiki placed back his forehead protector, bandana, and then spoke once more. Of course, you need to consider the source of information you are using. Intelligence from the enemy is not necessarily accurate, always bear this in mind. Disinformation, or rather the feeding of false information, is far worse than no information at all. It can lead to a massive loss of ninja and fellow team members, or in the worst case scenario, the destruction of an entire village. That is the reason why I placed you all in a position to be forced into gathering accurate intelligence. Cheat in order to survive, and that is the reason why those who were not able to handle it and do it properly were weeded out from the exams, leaving only you all. Tamari had to admit that the logic in the tests was flawless, and she got the idea on why the tests were so hard, the questions very hard, and the rules near impossible. Okay, but I still cannot understand the purpose of the 10th question thing. You're not supposed to. The 10th question was the point of the whole exam itself. Surely you could see that. Okay, but explain to us anyway. Naruto then smiled at that and spoke. You wanted to test us as a team, and the 10th question was the root of the whole thing. The reason for the 10th question is that you wanted to determine how we would react in a no-win situation. If we didn't take the question, we would be safe, but we would fail as a team, and if we took it but got it wrong, we would never be Chunin. We were to show how we deal with a no-win situation and how we would accomplish the mission despite the odds. Ibiki smiled as he could see that Naruto was really getting the idea, and to the amazement of everyone else, and Sasuke gave a slight look at Naruto as Ibiki motioned for his blonde teammate to continue on with what he was saying. Which is the exact thing that Chunin face every day of their lives in missions. You wanted to see which of us were willing to risk everything, even our very lives, to accomplish the mission, even if we know next to nothing on how many enemies we had to fight, how well armed they are, if it was a trap and they are expecting us, or all of the above. The other option is for us to pass out on the missions, and live to fight another day, and avoid death today, but we can't do that if we want to be Chunin. Quote, there will be missions that have risks that are considered to be near suicidal, and the risk of death is very high, but we must never think about it. We must think only of our goal, and achieving it through courage, determination, skill, and will, because these are the traits required of a Chunin squad leader. All because we hold the future of our village and fellow ninja in our hands, and thinking only of our own safety will ensure that not only will we lose the chance, but we will make our village suffer, along with our team. Chunin have to be strong not just in body, but in will, determination, and courage to see things through, despite the odds before them. If we didn't show that we were willing to risk our very lives for the goal, for our village, and for our honor, then we don't deserve to be Chunin at all, much less be called ninja. And the same thing could be said for those who take the safer route, who lose their determination in the face of danger, those who risk the lives of others for the sake of their own lives, and those who would save their own necks by sacrificing their honor. They also don't deserve to be Chunin, at least as long as you're the proctor. Am I right, Ibiki-sensei? Ibiki smiled warmly at the blonde ninja, and Naruto smiled back, while the others were looking at the two. The genin were all impressed. Sakura was awed by this. Sasuke admitted that Naruto's words made sense, Hinata was proud of her crush's words, Ino was surprised, Shikamaru was surprised at how much Naruto had changed, Choji was shaking his head. Kiba and Akamaru were stunned at how much Naruto had changed, Shino nodded as he saw Naruto's logic. Gaara was emotionless, but had his eyebrows raised. Kankuro grumbled at how Naruto had shown another side of himself. Tamari was impressed with the blonde ninja. Tenten smirked. Neji placed his hands on the desk and linked his fingers together as he looked at Naruto, and Lee was impressed of Naruto's words. You are correct, Naruto Uzumaki. Everything you said was correct, and you are right on saying that those who were not ready to take risks will never be Chunin on my watch. For the rest of you, including you Naruto, you all have answered correctly the 10 questions I have placed before you, therefore you have truly earned the right to be part of the second part of the Chunin exams. You have passed the first gate, and I hereby declare that this stage of the Chunin selection exam to be finished. There is nothing left for me to do, than to wish you all good luck. Naruto got up and cheered out loud. All right. We get to reach the next stage. The other genin looked on at Naruto while Ibiki smiled at Naruto. He's a real funny one. This blonde kid, I wonder how he will do in the next stage, and how he will deal with. Ibiki then looked to the left and felt something was coming, and sure enough, something was coming as a massive sphere came crashing right through the window and sent glass shattering all over the place. Ibiki held his ground, unconcerned as he already knew just who was showing up. The ball turned out to be a large cloth bundle and hands appeared, throwing kunai out and the weapons hit the roof, and someone appeared out of the cloth. Ibiki who was behind the tarp sighed as he knew that while the entrance was grand, as her style liked, she jumped the gun yet again. Ah, typical of her, jumping the gun as usual. As this part of the test that I don't know about. Naruto was stunned as he looked at what the heck was happening before him. It was then that he heard a female voice with a lot of energy in its tone, reminding him of himself for some reason. Heads up, boys and girls, this is hardly the time for you to be celebrating. The new arrival was certainly a woman who had her black, blue hair in a short tail on the back of her head, wore a short-style trench coat which was in a light tan color. She had a forehead protector on her, an orange mini skirt, had on shin and foot guards on her legs, and strange pendant, but those were not what were really striking about the new arrival. The fact was that she was wearing a fishnet bodysuit that covered her form, with her being the most prominent, and the bodysuit's lower leggings were only a few inches up her knees. The outfit was enough to make most normal men look at her with surprise, and more. Even Naruto was a bit surprised at this. Who the heck is she? I'll be your next proctor, Anko Mitarashi. The woman was attractive, there was no doubts about that, though her brown eyes had an odd quality in them. Ready for the second part of your test. Anko then raised her fist up and gave a shout. Good. Then follow me. The genin were stunned by all this, while Naruto couldn't help but stare at Anko. He had no idea who this woman was, but she was certainly something else entirely. He did not doubt that she was attractive, though her personality was certainly off. Ibiki moved aside and gave a grumble at Anko. You're early again, Anko. You were not supposed to show up at this point and time, but you jumped the gun yet again. Anko gave a sour look and was a bit embarrassed as she realized her blunder. Sakura was not pleased with the antics as she looked at Anko. Great. We a screaming nutcase for the second half of the Chunin selection exams. She reminds me of Naruto before all the changes. Anko looked at all the genin teams with a measure of surprise, though she was not showing it. Rather, she was showing a slightly disgusted expression. How many are there this year? Ibiki, you let all of these guys pass. Your test must have been too easy. Are you getting soft or something? Or it could be we have a strong crop of candidates this year, Anko, namely the blonde one before you. He has more guts than the rest of them for taking my special question. Oh, someone actually answered the 10th question. Which one is it? The one there with the sword on his back, Naruto Uzumaki. Anko directed her attention to the blonde ninja in question and took on his appearance, and smiled a bit at what she saw. The blonde's looks were very interesting. He looked far older with the handsome face he had. She liked the looks of the silver highlights in his hair that added a nice mix to the blonde color. The eyes were interesting with the mix of blue and silver, and he was tall as well, and she could see the muscles underneath the clothes since the clothes hugged his frame. The sword looked nice, though it didn't resemble any sword she knew of. Anko grinned at Naruto as she took it all in, and mentally licked her lips. Well now, here's one good-looking kid. I am really curious just how good he is when we go to the second part of the exams. He certainly has a look that's different from the others I've seen. Give him a few years, man, I want to be around to see that. Shame he has to go to that place for the second part of the exam. Don't die there, kid. I've got quite a few ideas and tricks I want to try out on you. Naruto was getting a bit freaked out by the intense look Anko was giving him, though not entirely. Anko smiled as she stopped her inspection of the blonde ninja. He's okay, but the rest of them don't look like much. Trust me, by the time I'm done with them, more than half of them will be out. Sakura gasped at that and wondered that maybe she had misjudged Anko. What? More than half of us will be gone? Is she serious? Anko then carried on. This is actually going to be interesting. All right, you maggots, you've had easy for today, but tomorrow, things are going to be very different under my watch. I'll be informing your squad leaders where to meet me tomorrow, first thing in the morning, don't be late. Later, Naruto sighed as he and the others left room 301 and the academy, along with the rest of the genin teams. He was relaxed and was in the mood for a party, and he then turned to face Sakura and Sasuke with his usual grin. Hey guys, we can cool our heels for today, you in the mood to get some ramen? My treat. Sasuke snorted and gave an unconcerned look. No thanks, you're better off getting ready for the next part tomorrow, Dobi. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Naruto sighed as Sasuke walked away and shook his head. Geez, he's no fun. How about it, Sakura-chan? You want to grab a bite to eat? My treat. Sakura sighed at that. She did promise to be nicer to Naruto and going out with him would be good, though she wished that Sasuke was with them. All right, Naruto. For today, but I get to order my meal, all right? Sure. I'm paying, so whatever you want, I'll pay for it. Sakura sighed and smiled, not blaming Naruto for his good spirits as the two of them walked on to the ramen stand, and then, Naruto noted that he was being followed, and he quickly turned to see none other than Hinata Hyuga following him. Oh Hinata, what's up? Hinata blushed a bit as she stepped out of the back of the wall of the building she was hiding behind. Naruto somehow sensed her despite her best efforts to hide herself, and since she was found she decided to speak to her crush as she twiddled her fingers. I wanted to say congratulations, for passing the exam, and Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled back and replied. Thanks for the congratulations, Hinata. Oh yeah, I want to thank you for doing what you did for me before, though I am happy you were not caught by the Chunin sentinels. I didn't want you to get into trouble. Sakura was surprised by that. What does that mean? What exactly was Hinata trying to do? Naruto then filled her in and Hinata shyly confirmed Naruto's words to Sakura, and she was surprised a bit at Hinata's actions. Though she knew that the Hyuga heiress had a king-sized crush on her blonde teammate. She knew that and was willing to bet that the others knew that as well, though what Hinata did was certainly bold to say the least. Naruto then had an idea. Hey Hinata, do you have anything to do today? The Hyuga girl blushed bright red and Sakura looked at her teammate warily, wondering just what he was up to. Nothing today, why do you ask? I was going to treat out my teammates but Sasuke bailed on the last minute. Since you passed the exams like us, how about I treat you out for some ramen for passing the exams too? It's the least I could do for what you did for me back there. It's not much and might not match what you were willing to do for me, but it's the least I can manage with what money I have. Is that okay with you? Hinata couldn't believe her luck. Naruto-kun is treating me out for ramen. He's never done that before. I want to go with him. Sure. I would like a lot, Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned widely at that. Great. Come on then, the day's getting shorter. The three went off as the rest of the genin moved on, with the Sand siblings heading for their lodgings, while the others were off to tell their parents the good news. Hinata blushed as she walked alongside her longtime crush while Sakura joined in, wondering how Naruto had grown, and she hoped that things were going to be all right for the next stage of the exams. In room 301, Ibiki smiled as he looked at one exam paper in particular as he was checking and grading the exam papers of the genin. The exam paper he was looking at was none other than that of a certain blonde ninja with a sword. Interesting. Not only was he able to answer the questions well, but he knew the true purpose of the 10th question. I have a feeling this one kid, Naruto, will be something soon in the Chunin selection exams, finals. At the rate he's going to really make an impression on the village, considering his secret. I am actually looking forward to see what else he can do. In another part of Konoha the next day. Where the heck are we? Naruto asked as he and the rest of the genin teams looked to find themselves before a massive forest with gates and metal walls on them all. The place looked very old and it appeared that the place was restricted with all the chains and warnings on them. There were massive trees all over the place, some of the trunks being as wide as houses and towers. Along with the trees as well on the side were several Chunin sentinels, and naturally in front of the gathered genin was Anko herself. Anko smiled and gave the introductions. This is the site for the second half of the Chunin selection exams. This is known as the 44th Battle Training Zone, but for us Chunin and Jonin, it goes by another name, the Forest of Death. Naruto looked on but was a bit worried at the name. Forest of Death, unknown to everyone. So the village of Konoha is having the Chunin exams. That brings back some old memories for me in my own youth. It does. Yes, however we have more pressing matters to take care of. You know the plan. Since he hasn't seen you without the mask off back then on the bridge, you should have an easy time on things. Remember, wait for the time of the main tournament to begin, then tell me where he is. I understand. Oh, before I forget. Yes. Be careful, Haku. Something of great importance will be taking place soon, I can feel it in the air. I will be fine, sir. Zabuza nodded as Haku left the area where they had set up base camp to infiltrate Konoha. The missing nin and former member of the Mist 7 swordsman checked his head-cleaving sword and noted at the new repairs and reinforcement on the blade. He smiled as he placed it back on his back and spoke to himself. Soon Kakashi, you and that blonde boy will finally get what's coming to you. I, Zabuza the demon of the mist, swear it.